You're listening to a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com.
We are the ElseNerds.
Hello and welcome to ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Network. I'm Gregor Sprague, and joining myself, Corey Scott, Alternative Corey, Sean Burns, is Joey Image. Welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Good evening.
Sean, Corey, how you guys doing?
Hello.
I'm just here until Amazon Prime Day kicks in. So
Prime Day.
It did an hour ago.
Oh God! See you guys.
Yeah, it started 9 p.m. Eastern. It's now 10 p.m. Eastern.
I said I was doing fantastic twice, but apparently I had my microphone turned off. So nice. I'm having one of those nights.
Yeah, for those of you guys who weren't in here because it was just me and him, it was like, oh, I'm having these problems. Like, oh, I can't hear you. Oh, hey. And welcome, Growly Bear, who is right now in our chat. So we have Joey Image from, the former professional wrestler, awesome guy, just from talking to him for like 20 minutes now.
Still professional wrestler. Just I hate the word retired or former, so I just say inactive.
Yeah,
but I'm retired. I mean, I'll admit that to you guys, but don't tell anybody.
You're like Ric Flair, where you only wrestle like when you really want to.
Yeah, which is
and
never
like
anymore.
Yeah,
with my injuries, I can't. But
yeah,
I would love to.
But yeah, so on the show we talk about a bunch of things. We will swear, we will spoil things. So that's your warning. And to find,
I was going to ask you if I can swear on the show. Sorry.
Yep.
Hell yes.
No, we can, but you.
Good luck with that.
You have to join our Patreon.
I'm 100% Italian from North Jersey. I don't know any other words but swear words.
And for all of the info on this show, including show notes and subscription links, you can go to ElseNerds.com. And for other Galactic Network programs, you can go to gncast.com. Now that I got all that out of the way, yeah. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say this again because I said it before the show, but I'm gonna say it again. Sean said, I almost said Corey, but Sean said that he had Joey coming on next week or like the week before. He's like, yeah, I got Joey coming on. I'm like, awesome, cool. Someone else I could talk wrestling with. Finally.
Yeah. Yes.
And it also coincided with a pay-per-view that WWE just had yesterday as we recorded on a Monday and all that. But
is there a week that WWE does not have a pay-per-view at this point?
Yes, next week. Next week there's it's super
like
weird.
2 months now, just about almost.
Yeah,
I think there's isn't there? They actually showed a breakdown a couple of pay-per-views ago where it was like we used to have 4, and then we went to 4 a year, and then we went to 12 a year, then we added like I think it's 7 more. So now I think it's 19
it's like
a year.
7 or 8, yeah.
And I still have friends. I don't understand the logic or the lack of logic, but I still have friends that will buy the pay-per-view. Like, dude, the network is $10, man. Like,
yes,
the thing is that they're not buying every one of them, so they're like, well, I don't watch every one of them. I don't care if you buy one a year on regular pay-per-view, that's already more than 1 month of the network.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic there.
Like last year, I did the free trial for WrestleMania. Like
Nice.
Tried it out just so I could see like what all do they offer that I would want to keep me in. This was also when I was working for Dollar General. Not a sponsor, just
Dollar General, one of my favorite wrestlers. I think he hung out with Sergeant Slaughter for a while.
Are you sure that wasn't IRS? But and then I dropped it after that month because I'm like, there's not really, I watched all the stuff. I thought I had watched all of the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness on there. But then this past year's WrestleMania came around and I'm like, all right, let's do it again for a month. And then I just kept going because by that time I would also have in the month had gotten Payback which was the following pay-per-view.
Right.
And then I'm just like, I've kept going and I've watched all the pay-per-views since WrestleMania. And even the NXT takeovers of
great shows. Those are great shows.
oh yeah. Oh good God. You want to talk about some really good wrestling. The NXT brand in general has been great. I've told this with other people. I'm like, you want to see WrestleMania quality matches done weekly with young talent? That's the show to watch right there. But yeah, so we're going to hold off on the wrestling talk because we'll probably talk more about that in our segment 3.
Yeah, that's fine.
But let's get into news. And the first bit of news that we have is that Gotham City and Riverdale are going to collide in Harley and Ivy meets Betty and Veronica. I forgot who suggested this one to us. I think it was Corey. But from reading the article, I'm liking all the plot of this 4-issue miniseries, or sorry, 6-issue crossover miniseries, and the characters, the writers that are involved with this. But yeah, so the series will be co-written by Mark Andreyko and Paul Dini. Paul Dini, of course, created Harley Quinn for Batman the Animated Series, and it will feature art from Lauren Braga. And it is the premise of the show is that, or the comic book is Gotham and Riverdale are separated by a marsh, and Hiram Lodge wants to bulldoze it to put up a parking lot or whatever Hiram Lodge wants to do, and Ivy doesn't like that, so she's going to recruit her best friend Harley Quinn to help stop it, and hilarity will ensue. I'm really excited for this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's just a crossover, if it's because Paul Dini's writing it, and I've been
Paul
loving
Dini with Mark Andreyko. Mark does a lot of Archie stuff. I think does Afterlife with Archie, and was one of the main developers of the TV series, the Riverdale show.
Yeah.
And Amanda Connor is doing covers for it, sticking with the fact that she does the covers for the Harley Quinn regular series because she co-writes it with Jimmy Palmiotti. So it's a great group to get together to do this. What's exciting to me is that it used to be that there was, not necessarily annually, but for a while there was a good amount of years consecutively where there were DC and Marvel crossovers. And you don't see a lot of crossover, intercompany crossovers these days. If you do, it's really rare, and it's not something that Marvel seems to do at all anymore.
No,
but DC is more likely to do it. They just did something recently with Green Lantern and Star Trek. I think they've done a few things more with the smaller companies throughout the last couple years, but with licensed characters and stuff.
Yeah, it's mainly been DC because, like I said, Marvel hasn't done anything like that. It's mainly been DC doing it with Boom Studios with the Gotham Academy, Lumberjanes crossover, and then IDW with Star Trek and Green Lanterns, and now Planet of the Apes and Green Lanterns.
And they also did something with Power Rangers, I thought.
Power Rangers and Justice League and Teenage Mutant Turtles and Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this is fun to see. Back in the 90s, there was a crossover with Archie and the Punisher, which is a great story, and just one of those things that the first time you hear it, you go, "What the hell is this?"
Wait, this is Betty and Veronica from Archie?
Yeah.
This is Betty and Veronica from Archie.
I was going to ask that earlier, thinking it was a joke because I'm not familiar with it, and now it really is. Oh, well, there goes that joke. I was going to say, is this Betty and Veronica from Archie or from Scooby Doo? Like Daphne and Velma, but it really is from Archie, so that joke.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And Daphne and Velma get to cross over with DC all the time because they're actually owned by Warner Brothers. And if you go back to the cartoon series, there were times when they had Batman and Robin were guests on the episodes.
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny.
Actually, I think Scooby Doo might be the one that they're not, that like with the whole Hanna-Barbera crew, that they don't have doing a crossover because they have a regular a couple regular ongoing books with DC.
Right.
'Cause I
Yeah,
know,
at this point in time.
yeah. But no, this looks cool, and it's gonna hit shelves. This is like the one thing I don't like about comic book news, but yet I like at the same time. Is we're not gonna get Harley and Ivy meets Betty and Veronica until October 4th. We are a good ways away, and it's one of those like I'm like I like it because yay, we're gonna get this in 3 months,
Which is a good thing because kids, if you're interested in this book and you have a local comic shop, go to your local comic shop and ask them to order it for you. They'll create a pull list for you and sometimes maybe even give you a discount for pre-ordering. But that allows the comic shops to know the demand for the comics and allows you to get the comics that you want. And you can also check out some other stuff that they have there at the same time.
I realized my fanning of comic books didn't really work with Wicked and Divine since a quarter of the page is white. But yeah, like I go to the comic book shop every week and get comic books. Actually, Green Lanterns is one of my items that is on my pull list, along with Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. But yeah, I mean, honestly, go out and do it. It's super easy, and they do give me, like, I swear, like I'm gonna be spending like $25. 19. What? How am I? I've got Secret Empire in here. How am I not paying $35? But no, yeah, they're really cool. I'm probably going to put this on my pull list, to be honest, Wednesday when I go in there. Like, hey, can you add this in here? Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you guys, because we're talking about crossovers and things like that, and some of the ones that have come out. If you could have your dream crossover, what would you want to see? What comics would you want to see crossed over with one another?
Gregor?
I think I'd want to do a Marvel crossover with Doctor Who, with the Doctor Who comics from Titan Comics. But I don't think I'd want to do it with like the X-Men or the Avengers. I think I'd want it done with like either like the young Avengers or like the Great Lakes Avengers.
Maybe Doctor Who could fix a goddamn X-Men original 5 being in the constant modern day bullshit. And since the X-Men comics have always had time travel stuff as a part of their continuity, it seems like that would be a natural.
Yeah, Evan just commented in the chat, Doctor Who with Bill and Ted. So you got your plenty of your time travel there. Joey, do you have any like comics you think would be cool to cross over with one another?
I was thinking like a Rocky comic and a Rambo comic.
Okay,
nice.
Actually, just to see them fight each other. No guns though. Rambo can't use guns, or he can, but Rocky can use them too. Because I know one character was much dumber than the other, so I'd like to.
Well,
see
Rocky can stop bullets with his fists.
Yeah, well, that would be hilarious.
He'd have magic boxing gloves.
Instead of instead of summoning like the Terminator to help him out against Rambo, he could use the robot he bought for Polly in Rocky 4.
Happy birthday, Polly.
I thought you were going to just say, yo, Adrian, and she'd show up. So.
She shows up.
Hey, yo, Adrian, what the hell's going on here? Polly's robots over here beating up Rambo.
I wait for someone to bring in like calling the Snake Plissken, because they actually did turn it into a comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to see a couple Marvel titles cross over with The Walking Dead. And here's how I want to see it. Actually, I want to see Blade and Ghost Rider, but I want them to be Michonne and Daryl and just let them loose.
Nice.
Was there ever has there ever been a Game of Thrones comic?
Yes. But it's basically just based off of the stories that you've already seen.
Yeah.
Right. I'd like to see World of Warcraft mixed with Game of Thrones.
No, that'd be good.
Which is like the same subject matter, really, but I'd just like to see their dudes all fighting each other.
I was just going to say World of Warcraft with a lot of banging.
Yeah, true.
A lot of best.
It's just Goldshire on an RP,
including the brother and sister one.
Yep. Exactly.
I know the only other one I could think of right now would be, like something like, and it's cheating because it's such a nerd culture thing, but something like Ready Player One with the Dark Tower. Because the Dark Tower they also did very similar to the Game of Thrones thing, where it was just a comicized version of the books and all that. But
Wait,
no, I think that'd be some pretty fun stuff there.
I got it. Cross over the Dark Tower, and when they go through the portal, cross it over with Rick and Morty. There we go.
That worked great, and both of them are comics too.
So in the 90s, when I was working at the first comic shop that I managed, I had a bunch of friends who were comic artists and stuff, and they wanted me to write them a story for them to be able to submit to different comic companies to submit their art to, because you have to have some sort of like storytelling art to be able to do it. You can't just do pinups and stuff. And so the thing that I wrote was I did a really loose plot, which was very 90s, which was a crossover between Azrael, who at that point in time had become Batman for a while from DC, and the Scarlet Spider for Marvel, who for a period of time had become Spider-Man. So I didn't do Batman-Spider-Man crossover. I did Azrael and the Scarlet Spider crossover. And I involved the Black Cat and Bane and shit like that. But it was a pretty fun plot, and they were all just like, how you just wrote this like overnight? How did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. You asked me to. But I would love to see that actually get made. It's just so pure 90s in and of itself. And I really loved both those costumes at that point in time. The Joe Quesada Azrael costume, the original one, was so good, pre-becoming Batman. And I thought that there was something that you could really have fun and do with the Saint Dumas stuff of Azrael and the Scarlet Spider thing of him being a clone and not really having a history himself, that there was a lot there.
That sounds pretty cool. And also, I didn't know Joe Quesada did art for DC.
Back then, Joe Quesada, before he and Jimmy started their own company with Event Comics and started doing Ash and stuff, and then got hired to bail out a bunch of Marvel titles and get them out of bankruptcy. He did artwork for DC. He did artwork all over the place.
Yeah, nice. The next story we're going to talk about, actually, you'll find a theme with our news this week. Gerard Way's Umbrella Academy is coming to Netflix. And Gerard Way, I believe, is actually going to be writing the pilot. This isn't the first time the series, which I'm going to have Corey explain a little bit, because I think he can explain it better. But they were originally going to, Universal Pictures was going to do this as a film back in 2015, and that fell apart. And all that. But yeah, so Corey, you want to explain Umbrella Academy a little bit for Joey and Shawn?
Umbrella Academy is kind of hard to explain, and it's been a long time since I've read it, so forgive me here for this. But Gerard Way, before he started doing music with My Chemical Romance, Gerard Way actually worked at the Cartoon Network and was developing stuff for that, and then decided to start a band just to make some money. And the band became hugely successful and went nuts, and for a few years was kind of like the kings of the emo pop punk scene. In a different way than a lot of the other emo bands. I really like My Chemical Romance. I'm a fan to this day of Gerard's music. But all of a sudden, Gerard started making comics. And when this comic was announced, Umbrella Academy, people weren't really prepared for it. People didn't really think much of it. They're like, oh yeah, some other asshole is going to get in a comic because they want to pitch a movie or something, and they're just doing it descriptive. Because everybody was doing it at this point in time. It was like suddenly, if you wanted to make a movie, you did a comic first, so that the comic was kind of like the storyboards for the films, and it was easier to pitch the project. But Gerard Way came out with Gabriel Ba and did Umbrella Academy and blew everybody's fucking minds, because it was just so far out there from everything else. The characters were all fleshed out. They were kind of a family that had a history together that had all broken up. The lead guy was like a human head with a gorilla body. The villain of the first one was one of their sisters, who I think was called the White Violin or something. Another character called the Kraken is basically the Jason Todd of their universe. One of them is just a superpowered kid, like he never grew up or got old or anything. And the storytelling was just so immensely cool but well told. The art was beautiful. Was a very unusual style at the point. So it's kind of like an independent comic that was doing superheroes in a way that was not being done in the regular superhero books. Everything in superheroes had gotten so homogenized and everything. And I think this was the launching point for a lot of the weird things that superheroes started doing a little bit before that. Warren Ellis writing stuff for Wildstorm was kind of like that. But really, we saw things blow up to a higher degree when, say, Grant Morrison started doing the X-Men.
Yeah.
And doing really weird shit with the X-Men. And I think that was around the same time. I can't remember which one came first. But this is not something that people were expecting. And they only had, as far as I recall, 2 series. They had the first series, a mini-series, and then they had a second mini-series. And then it kind of disappeared. And Gerard Way has obviously done some other stuff in comics. He's doing his launch at DC right now, his imprint with the Doom Patrol characters and some other stuff.
Yep, DC.
And always felt like, which always felt like something that he was kind of going to do anyways. But this is one of those things that I'd really like to see him get back to, and I don't know if it's because he and Gabriel can't get their schedules to sync up or what. But to get to see this as a series is going to be pretty awesome. The person writing it or is kind of like the lead on it is Jeremy Slater, who unfortunately is listed as the screenwriter for the Fantastic Four movie that came out and bombed horribly. But we know that a lot of the problems with the Fantastic Four were not him. It seemed to be the director. But there were issues with that too. He also did The Lazarus Effect, and he writes for the Extras TV series, which I understand to be pretty good. And he worked on the Death Note, which is coming to Netflix pretty soon. So he's got an interesting pedigree because he comes from a lot of horror-related stuff. And that seems well suited for Umbrella Academy because it's not just straight up hero punches a villain. It's a lot more integrated, and there's definitely some horror aspects to it.
So to flesh out a little bit more, the first 6-issue limited series, the Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite, was released by Dark Horse Comics. The first issue making its premiere in September 19th, 2007, and it won a Eisner Award in 2008 for Best Finite Series / Limited Series. They then did a second series, Umbrella Academy Dallas, in 2008, and then there's a third series, Umbrella Academy Hotel Oblivion, and a proposed fourth series in development. But like Corey said, it's sort of in that little area that it's like we're not sure where exactly it is, because of Gerard Way doing all the stuff with DC's Young Animals, which includes writing Doom Patrol and doing some writing with Cave Carson as a cybernetic eye, and developing some of the other characters for the other books there. And also I found a paragraph in here that sums it up. Once the Umbrella Academy was unstoppable under the tutelage of their guardian and mentor, Dr. Reginald Hargraves, which Corey was describing him as the dude who's basically a human head on top of a gorilla. Its members spent their childhoods fighting evil and honing their extraordinary gifts until something went terribly wrong. Now, 9 years later, the estranged members of the Umbrella Academy are reunited by the death of the only parent they've ever known and the rise of a new and terrible threat. Will they be able to overcome their history for long enough to save the world one more time? That is the premise for the first book. But yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting from a really interesting guy who does really interesting things. That makes me really interested in this project. So with all that we've said, how do you guys, Shawn and Joey, how do you guys feel about this?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, when I first saw it sounded like X-Men to me.
It's closer to the original incarnation of the X-Men, with Professor Xavier finding the 5 students and joining them together, which is also incredibly similar to the origin of Doom Patrol. That's one of the fun things is you if you ever read the first series of Doom Patrol and you compare it to the original X-Men series, they were put out very close to each other, and there are so many similarities. It's like watching Armageddon and Deep Impact at the same time.
So it's like what the hell were the two volcano movies that came out at the same time? Dante's Peak and whatever the other one was. Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting, and you know, Netflix to me can do little to no wrong. So, you know, from what I've seen of them, so I'll definitely give it a shot.
I need to get Netflix again. I just canceled it a couple of months ago because I didn't use it all that much. I had the 4K, so it was like $13.99 a month or $12.99 a month, whatever it was. But I have two 4K televisions, and I just didn't use it enough to justify still paying for it. But there's some things that are making me kind of want to get it again.
Well, the nice thing about Netflix, and we talked about canceling it just about a week ago because my wife has watched every horror movie that they have apparently and was getting pissed. So I got her Shudder, but Shudder doesn't work very well. For some reason, it always gets to a point where the stream just kind of like stops and it buffers for so long, no matter what we do. So it pissed her off, and she's like, I can just watch those on YouTube. So she's back to Netflix again. But the nice thing about Netflix as a service is that you can cancel it for a couple months and come back to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe some of the movies have changed out, and maybe some of the shows have gone away, but they've gotten replaced by other stuff. And it's not like the hassle of canceling cable or canceling a satellite service, because you can just stop. And then when you like say, oh, well, I'm done watching Game of Thrones on HBO this month, I'm ready to turn on Netflix again and see what's going on. I hear the new season of Stranger Things is starting up. Then you can absolutely do it.
Yeah, that's another thing I need to do is get rid of cable. Like there's I'm super interested in like maybe looking into PlayStation View, because every channel that myself and my fiance watch is included in their cheapest package, which was like $35.
Well, they just raised it to 40.
Oh, well, that's it. Deal's off the table. But I mean, I'm fine with that. 40, 45. I'd probably go as high as 50, and then I would just get the next package anyway. But just all the stuff that we watch is included in that one like tier. I don't really need all the extra. I mean, we have like 600 channels now or something. There's nothing on. I don't understand. But so I gotta get maybe get rid of cable and just do Netflix and PS View, and then I'm good. I mean, I always
got to be careful.
Luckily,
though.
when like Glow came out, for example, I borrowed somebody else's Netflix password and logged in and watched it, and so I got to see all that. But like, I don't keep up with stuff because I don't have it anymore. But I think like there's a lot of stuff, you know, coming out or that's there now that it's making me kind of want to check it out again.
The one thing that I hinge on cable for is the fact that they're still the fastest internet provider in my area,
right?
And because they have data caps, the idea of going to just streaming worries me, because with cable, the amount of stuff I watch on TV, it doesn't count towards anything. Now they have Netflix integrated into their box as an app, so I can watch my Netflix streaming through it, and it doesn't count towards my caps for that. But as soon as we're lucky enough that I live in an area where we have third-party providers like Sonic. It's just they haven't put the fiber in my actual block yet. But once they do, I can go to that, and they don't have a cap. So I would quit Comcast in a heartbeat and just go to the different streaming services. And again, you can chase the dragon with that sort of thing. You can choose, all right, this month I'm going to watch PlayStation View because it's got the stuff that I want to see. But I know in a couple of months I'm going to need to get HBO Go because Game of Thrones is starting up, or Veep or whatever you want to watch. And you're just going to jump around from service to service for the ones that you're actually interested at that point in time. And you can fill yourself up to your bloated and shitting out episodes of Silicon Valley, and then move on to the next thing, like some raw salad of Amazon Prime and getting your Transparent on. That's the dream. But the dream is fucked by these companies that are ISPs that are secretly also content providers, so that, yeah, great. Comcast is my TV, but they're also my internet, and I can't say fuck you to Comcast because I still need them for my goddamn internet.
Right. There's a new one. There's YouTube TV, which I haven't even looked into yet. But like I initially was gonna get Sling, and then I heard PSV was so much better. and more stable.
Yeah.
Hulu just started live TV too, and I think it's on par with what the PS View is offering. Plus, you have the secondary of having the Hulu account with it,
Right.
so you get the live TV and all the Hulu catalog for
the VOD stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and god damn it, YouTube TV would be great if Google had stuck with their fucking guns and put up fiber, you dicks.
Yeah, it's only in like very limited. I know my buddy Danny's got it. He's in Kansas City. He's in Kansas City, and he's got fiber like just for the last maybe month or two, and he loves it. I had Verizon fiber for a while, Verizon Fios for a while, and then when I moved into this house, it's not available in this area. But friends of my fiance's that literally live 2 blocks over, they have it, and we can't get it here.
Yeah,
And that's like because that's past the border, so they're considered in a different town and different zip code. But we're, I mean, we're not even a quarter mile away from their house, and we can't get it.
yeah, and I'm fine with what Google was doing and what other places are doing is they're trying to develop these things in places where people don't have high-speed internet at all, where they have no choice. And I think that's great, and I support that. But it really makes sense for someone like Google, who benefits from people being online, who benefits from having net neutrality be in place, and who doesn't give a shit if you're streaming stuff from them or for anybody else, because it all comes through. You're still going to see their ads and other shit.
Right.
They make the most sense to develop this kind of thing to compete with these companies that are all profiting by, like, we control your data, we control your throughput, we control because we want you to watch our TV channels, and it doesn't matter if you don't want ESPN, you're fucking paying for it, dick. And like, okay, yeah, just we need something else. We need a better system, and it's still a long ways away, and it just disappoints me. But again, we're lucky enough. Sonic in our area, Sonic has that kind of mentality. Sonic is just like, we want everything to be equal and fair, and we want it to be available to everybody. It's just how long it's going to take to build it out.
I still want like a la carte. Like, just list me 500 channels. I'll pick the ones I want and just bill me for that.
But that's sort of what you're getting with the streaming stuff anyways. And the a la carte is getting to be as expensive as cable if you want it all at once.
Yeah.
But if you can just jump from thing to thing, you're okay.
I know I've looked at it like this with my digital stuff, because where I still live with my mom, and so she pays for the cable and for the internet and stuff like that. I look at, I've got Netflix because there's a lot of stuff that comes out with enough frequency that I would watch that I can't, it wouldn't benefit me to get rid of it, because I would just be like, all right, I'm going to cut you and I'm bringing you back.
Yeah.
But then I've also got Amazon Prime for the year because, what did it was the Grand Tour, the former Top Gear hosts with their show, like that pulled me over the edge too. And I look at everything else, when it comes to streaming services and with the exception of WWE Network, because, I'm getting to watch the pay-per-views and not pay $70 for 4 matches and watching the same video package over and over again from the kickoff show and stuff like that. But I look at everything else, the CBS All Access, the HBO, CISO, all these other things, as do they have something that would entice me? If so, okay, I'm getting HBO Go for a month or two, finishing watching, Last Week Tonight, or, whatever else it might be, CBS All Access. It's checking out the Big Brother live feeds. It's watching some of the other things that are in there. And then after that, it's, it's like, okay, on to the next thing. I'm canceling this service and going on to, these whatever's next and stuff like that. And I think that's what a lot of people will end up doing. It's probably something I would end up doing with, with the streaming services, like the full on like live TV streaming stuff with, it's like, oh, well, Hulu has, AMC. Oh, okay, let's get that for Walking Dead. Okay, Walking Dead's done. Doctor Who's on, but they don't have, they don't have BBC America. I don't know why they wouldn't if they have AMC, but that's besides the point. Let's go over here to this to this company and all that. It's yeah.
The hardest part is deciding what you want to watch when you want to watch it. The surprise things that what you guys are talking about with Glow is that Glow we knew Glow was coming out. Gregor and I did. We talked about it, I think, a while before it had actually started up. But to see the general populace all jump on it at once and say, wow, this is actually really amazing. It hit with the audience in a way that I don't know that people expected. And a lot of people didn't know it was coming out. So the weekend that Glow hits and everybody's talking about it, you kind of want to be in on that. You want to say, yeah, we've got time. Let's sit and watch the series too. So you dive into Netflix. But so much of the rest of the time is just like, there's shows I like on HBO, but for 11 months out of the year, I probably could give a crap about HBO. But the only thing that's really appointment viewing is Game of Thrones. It's like I have to watch that the night that it comes out, because the next day or for the next 3 days, if I don't get to it on my DVR, I'm fucked because I can't go on social media at all because everybody's talking about it. Walking Dead, when I was watching Walking Dead, that was an appointment view because people were talking about it that night. I'm on the Pacific Coast, and East Coasters are already posting spoilers before the shit's even started. I'm like, you fucking dicks. So other than letterbombing people and crushing it up, I'm just like, no, God damn it. You know, I know I can't go on Facebook for the next couple hours until I watch Walking Dead live. And then I do, and then I'm okay. But more time than not, like I've got shows that are my favorite shows, like the whole second season of Mr. Robot, the entire season so far of American Gods, and of oh shit, what's the other one? Preacher right now. I'm not watching any of them. They're all just sitting there on my DVR. Twin Peaks. I haven't watched any of the new Twin Peaks yet, and that was my favorite series for years. They're all just sitting on the box waiting for me to get to them because we just haven't had the time to dive into one, and choosing the right one is hard. So more often than not, it's like I'll get a service and I'll watch as much as I want when something's done, when I'm ready to watch it, versus having that live appointment TV viewing.
Definitely. Excuse me. Speaking of watching TV at certain times, the next story has little to do with that. It's
beautiful segue.
Well, I'm going to preface this with a little bit. Working at Target, I've had this conversation with my friends there numerous times, and that's because I've bought 4K DVDs or 4K Blu-rays because I have the Xbox One S, and so I've bought Lego Batman, I've bought Logan, and they're like, yeah, why hasn't Disney jumped in the 4K bandwagon? Yeah. You know, why haven't they made, you know, the 4K, you know, release stuff on 4K? Guardians of the Galaxy this year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 actually filmed with Red's Weapon 8K camera, so they filmed in 8K. Well, they're going to be the first out of the Disney vaults to release their movies in 4K. So you get to see in brilliant color Michael Rooker go, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." Not even really a spoiler, just a funny moment that happens in the movie. And the street date for this is going to be August 22nd, 2017. So not that far away.
Right.
But I look at this because you look at the great cinema Disney is rolling out without even throwing their name on it, on the movies. You look at the Marvel stuff, you look at the Star Wars stuff, and this isn't being released in 4K. This is still getting Blu-ray releases and, you know, the high definition release online, and that being it. When, you know, the technology's out there, it's getting cheap enough to where, you know, you get the Blu-ray player, or you get the 4K Blu-ray player, or you get the gaming console, and now you can, you know, for $30, which is only $5 more than the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. And let's be honest, you ain't gonna touch that DVD. You might touch the Blu-ray, but I mean, how many people are like, oh, I want the Blu-ray player, the Blu-ray one with the DVD disc.
Yeah, unless I'm giving it away as a gift, I don't really need it.
Yeah.
I can tell you one person who does, and that's parents, because they can give the kid the DVD.
Oh yeah,
and
they're
they'll
not going to care.
destroy it, but then you still got your Blu-ray. Father of a 6-year-old, I can attest to that one.
The amount of
But
parents
there's
with
also-
minivans that have DVD players in them or the portable DVD players that used to take on planes before you started being
Oh
able
my
to
God.
download your Netflix stuff ahead of time.
I still have a
That-
portable DVD player.
Yeah, that stuff really came in handy for a long time. The DVD stuff, just in general, most computers don't have a Blu-ray player; they have a DVD player, or DVD-ROM at best, and that's the ones that have any kind of spinning media. But I agree. What happens is Gregor, before your time, back in my day, there were
So 1988.
well, no, there were format wars. Early on it was Betamax versus VHS, and waiting for VHS to win out, even though Betamax was in many people's opinions a superior version. And then not too long ago, there was Blu-ray and HD DVD.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And I have a friend who got the HD DVD player and got the Harry Potter movies and went in on it for a while and then suddenly lost it. And again, it didn't make any sense for Blu-ray to win, other than the fact that what Sony did is they're like, yeah, we're going to put it in our gaming system that everybody's going to buy anyways. And so all these other companies who were developing HD DVD lost out to the one company who had something to prove, again, because of the Betamax days. So it's hard to jump in on these technologies, because after that was the 3D shit. And 3D televisions bombed the fuck out.
Did not make the impact that they hoped.
Yeah, I remember selling those things. I remember going and installing them for people, setting it all up and setting up the 3D players, and then waiting for content to come out and waiting for anybody to give a shit about that content. I have a 3D DVD. It came with the glasses. The glasses have been sitting in a box since we got it, because the TV just came with 3D. It wasn't like I had a choice. It was just, this is a TV I want. Well, it has 3D. Fuck it anyway. I don't care. I just want to see pictures up on the screen that look pretty and talky voices. So I can understand Disney, yeah, but I can understand Disney hesitating on when they were going to get to 4K, but also don't put it past Disney to sell you the same goddamn movie again that you've bought 4 times over. And remember, you're talking to a guy who's owned every version of Xanadu that's fucking existed in both the audio and the video.
Yeah.
I've had it all. They will sell you Star Wars in 4K just as much as they were happy to sell you it in DVD and in Blu-ray and in VHS and whatever else.
Oh, no, trust me. I knew that. As soon as I saw that article, I'm like, okay, cool. And a lot of this sounds like this has been James Gunn's doing, like, as he put from his Facebook post, his begging and pleading for them to, I don't even think just to release Guardians Volume 2 in 4K, just to release stuff in 4K.
Yeah, and I think if the fight was getting it onto a 4K disc, that seems more of where a battle would have been.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine it's going to be hard for Disney to say, oh, by the way, all this 4K content that we've got people filming in, we're going to release to streaming. Yeah. Now, again, the streaming thing is how good your internet connection is, and how do you get access to that stuff. But that's coming. That's what everything's working towards. My speed from Comcast is over 200 megabits a second, and that seems slow compared to what a lot of places are getting now, because we're seeing 1 gigabit speeds in a lot of places now because of things like Google Fiber coming out and bringing the precursor for it. I expect this stuff to be in streaming. I'm not surprised it was a hesitation to do it on disc, because I don't know how many people are buying the 4K players as much as they're buying the 4K TVs, because again, if it's only $100 more or a couple $100 more to get the 4K version and be ahead of the game, I'll buy the 4K TV, but then do I also want to go and buy 4K content for it for $5 a pop versus not?
Yeah. I mean, you've got areas like where I live, and honestly, when I'm here at my fiance's house, we get 25 down. At home, I literally get 3 down if I'm lucky. I mean, our internet is tin cans connected by like a really bad phone cord or something. I mean, it's terrible. So as far as the TVs go, I'm always a generation or two behind. So 4K, 8K, OK, KY, whatever. I'm not going to bother with it because it's not anything I could actually utilize.
It sounds like you need the KY.
Can't utilize KY?
Yeah, well, when you're getting fucked by the internet, that's usually what you need. And Evan just asked, is it Comcast based out of Philly? It is, but I'm from Philly, but I don't live down there. I live up near Binghamton, New York now. So,
Oh, I love Binghamton.
yep, beautiful.
Well, Binghamton has shit internet apparently.
Yes.
But they have great wrestling fans up there.
Oh yeah.
Also, check
I
out
almost got
places
killed in
that
the
are.
Binghamton parking lot once. We can talk about that later if you want.
You also got to check places that are like really condensed, like cities and stuff. It's not easy to rip up the ground and rewire buildings, apartment buildings, to improve the structure for what you need for faster internet. Or, you know, if you're trying to go to this promise of eventually we're not going to have wires in the ground, it's all going to be wireless, it's going to be coming from above us. That's going to be hard to do in buildings too, because most of the time you can't get a cell phone signal when you're inside a building structure, especially if you're on an inside apartment as opposed to one of the ones that's a window view. So yeah, there's an expectation that we're still a long ways away from getting high-speed internet that passes everything like this across.
Oh no.
But I also don't know that people want to pay. Like, at what point do the pictures just look as good as they're going to get? Because we also know that this was filmed not on 4K, it was filmed on 8K. So that right there is like a dick move. I'm already pissed off that I've got a widescreen TV and I'm watching widescreen movies and I've still got fucking bars at the top and bottom.
Yep.
It's like, why doesn't my TV match the fucking movie screen? I paid for this experience and I'm still looking at blank space. I ain't no fucking Taylor Swift fan.
So you're not going to write your name?
You know.
But
Well,
because
the Starbucks lovers.
I look at this honestly as because something I find interesting is the fact that I will go out and buy the media. You know, I will go out and buy, you know, the disc, the physical disc, as opposed to getting it, you know, 4 weeks earlier on July 11th. Wait, is it really? It's like tomorrow. You know, getting it tomorrow to get the digital version of it and watch it tomorrow. I really sort of want to do it, but I'm not gonna. I'm waiting for the 4K. I'm gonna wait for the 4K.
But Gregor, you know that I've snapped many a time and said I hate owning DVDs because I'll buy them and I'll own the movie, but I can't get my fucking self off the fucking couch to go put a movie in the DVD player.
Same.
And turn that thing on and flip over to the edge. No, fuck that. You know, it's too inconvenient for me to have the DVDs. I want that instant access.
Well, that's again why I always pick the things that will include the digital HD copy.
Right.
So if I'm feeling lazy, then I throw on Google Play Movies or Vudu or whatever the service is that has actually, since this is going to be a Disney movie, I can watch it on virtually anything with the Disney movies anywhere and watch it that way. Or if I want to watch it in the pretty high def, like super high def, I can get up real close.
It's just you want to show up. You want to basically invite friends over and pull your dick out and just rub it across their faces.
Oh, dude, I did it with. I was going to continue going with it, but like, it sounds weird.
I was going to wait for him to
check out my baby Groot.
But no, I did that. I had that moment by myself with watching the Lego Batman movie in 4K. Like, I'm like, because again, only a 40-inch TV, you know, not even a big TV, but because my room is smaller, it had this effect of, I'm like, those look like Lego puppets right there, not computer generated, you know, like something that's up converted. It looked, you know, like, oh my gosh, I could grab Batman and just take him and remove him from the movie. I could see a lot of people, especially the people who are fans of the transformation of Chris Pratt, being like, oh my God, it's just like, look at him. He looks so beautiful. Or, you know, fans of Dave Bautista and how he is in here, and just how brilliant it's going to look. I will do this, and I will nitpick the visual effects on here, because they've got to be, if they filmed it, if they did the visual effects for 8K as well, they've got to be flawless for like Rocket Raccoon. Like I should be able to pause on him and see each individual little hair, not like what it used to be where it was all sort of like clumped together and you'd see like shading and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that the opening scene of Groot dancing to Electric Light Orchestra, again a favorite of mine, is a pretty amazing scene to watch. I was glad to see it on the big screen for that, and I would bet that in a 4K that would be beautiful, and I probably just replay that a bunch.
And also, just to mention for the people who are listening who have 3D TVs, this will also be released. James Gunn posted on Facebook in that same post. This will also be released in 3D formats,
and no one will give a shit.
But yeah,
you mentioned Voodoo before. Voodoo's actually got a good selection of 4K stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I know 4K streaming is kind of. I mean, you got to have a really good connection because it's compressed in the first place. But they have a lot more than I had realized on there, and I watch 4K as much as I can. I only own one 4K Blu-ray, but I don't yet have a 4K Blu-ray player. But I bought it because it's Warcraft, and I pre-ordered it like months before it came out, and the Blu-ray disc version was $50 when it was first available for pre-order. And I'm like, I don't care. It's Warcraft. I'm buying it. And then thankfully they cut it down to like, I don't know, 30, and it was on sale for like 26 or whatever. So I bought it, but I don't have it on. I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player, so I've only seen it came with like the Voodoo code, and so I have it on Voodoo in 4K, but I don't have the actual player. I'm actually been looking at the Prime Day stuff to see if I can find one, but nothing yet.
Yeah, I've looked like. Because that's the other part with like the streaming services. I mean, the Orphan Black is on Amazon Prime in 4K and all that. Like, there's quite a bit. One of the shows that I watched, and it's more of an honorable mention than an actual, ElseView, is I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's all about the Le Mans race in France. The 24-hour Tour de Le Mans, and it's a crew that they've filmed in 2015 about the race, following six different car drivers or racing teams, and watching that on 4K, you're like, ooh, it looks so pretty. You see these cars, you see them hit like one car, it hit something, and the engine, the side where the engine is at, that bodywork just flew off. I'm like, what the fuck did he hit? And I'm looking at the track, like I'm there sort of deal. Like, that's what I love with seeing this stuff. But yeah, it's like I tell people all the time at work, the content is out there. If you want suggestions, I will tell you. Otherwise, I will bore the crap out of you by telling you where the stuff is. Speaking of content that will not bore the crap out of you,
and pretty things on your screen,
and pretty things on the screen. Marvel Television has cast Squirrel Girl and the rest of the New Warriors. So for those of you guys who do not know about this, New Warriors is set to come to the what was once ABC Family, is now known as Freeform, and they have cast, it seems like pretty much everyone who will be, the main cast. Starting things off with Squirrel Girl herself is Melania Von Trapp, who's been on, At Midnight numerous times. Actually, I think won their Tournament of Champions one year.
Melania Von Trapp, you would instantly recognize as the AT&T girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
She has been on This Is Us that first season.
Yep.
She was on that, I can't remember the show, when we were watching the sixth season. Other Space. Yeah, she was on the Yahoo series. She appeared as Guilfoyle's girlfriend in an episode of Silicon Valley in the first season. She is just spectacular.
Yeah, great. It's a great choice. I'm gonna try to go through as quickly as possible. But Derek Thieler, who is no stranger to Freeform, he was on their show Baby Daddy, plays Craig Hollis, aka Mr. Immortal. Craig can't die, or so he says. Is his powers basically? He's another Great Lakes Avenger who's in here. Jeremy Tardy from Dear White People and 10 Days in the Valley plays Dwayne Taylor, aka Night Thrasher, which I'm trying to remember which one he played on Dear White People. Callum Worthy is, and this is where we get to more notable, like people that I've known or seen from other things. Callum Worthy plays Speedball, aka Robbie Baldwin. He was on the Disney Channel show Austin and Alley. This guy who, actually it works because Two Broke Girls got canceled. He played was it Han on Two Broke Girls. Matthew Moy, he's playing Zach Smith, aka Microbe. And the final one that we have here is Kate Comer from Hello, My Name is Doris, and the comeback is playing Deborah Fields, aka Debris. So yeah, the casting, I'm not familiar with some of the characters as I should be, but Squirrel Girl, I could see this. Like, I could see if they were going to do a Squirrel Girl movie, I could see Melania Von Trump playing her way over Anna Kendrick, in all honesty.
I mean, Anna Kendrick is fantastic as well. Don't get me wrong, but no, I'm a huge Melania fan.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Anna Kendrick, but when I think of Squirrel Girl, I don't think Anna Kendrick. That's sort of where I come at with it. But Corey, what do you think of the castings here?
The casting is fine. The guy, I had a subscription to Speedball's original comic when it came out. I think I had a Marvel subscription to something, and then that book got canceled, and so they let me transfer it to something else, and Speedball was just starting. I'm like, yeah, I'll get on the #1 with this new thing. And it was some guy bouncing around with powers and little telekinetic balls, and his cat had powers too, which was really weird. That was years before New Warriors came out. New Warriors, the only two characters that were actually in the original team were Night Thrasher and Speedball. This looks like it's going to be played for comedy. It looks a little bit like the Freaks and Geeks version of superheroes. Yeah. Maybe in line more with what we saw recently with Powerless, except actually about superpowered characters as opposed to people working in a world with superpowered characters. I'm okay with it, but I'll have to see what it looks like in effect. And I cannot get over the fact that Matthew Moy is going to be playing one of these people. I'm going to have a really tough time not seeing him as a character from Two Broke Girls.
Yeah, no, that's probably going to be one of the bigger things for me. Like Derek Thieler, who played, he played the older brother in Baby Daddy, and I watched like the part of the first season. I mean, he might fall with that too, because he played the dumb jock in there, and so it'd be like I want to like especially if they're going to do Mr. Immortal not as a dumb jock and stuff like that. But Shawn, Joey, what do you guys think of this? I mean, I know, Joey, you're not really big with like knowing Squirrel Girl and stuff like that.
Right. I saw this today on Facebook, and I'm super not familiar with it.
Yeah. But Shawn, what about you? How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with it. My daughter's a big fan of the Great Lakes Avengers, and so I'm, familiar with the concept. The bigger thing, I think, is the casting is solid. I mean, the couple of actors from it that I know from other places, I've always enjoyed their parts. The one thing that Corey didn't mention about now I'm blanking on her name, Melania Von. She was also in the very small part in the show Love on Netflix, but she was hysterical in it as the main character's ex-girlfriend. And so she's a really strong actor, and I think Corey hit the nail on the head that most people are going to look at that and go, "Hey, that's the AT&T girl." But when you actually see her act and you see her be funny, she is very amusing. So as long as this is played in a way that it doesn't take itself too seriously, I think this will be a fun show.
It's from how it's going, because Marvel has two, I believe it's just two shows that are coming to Freeform. This and Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
And Cloak and Dagger is set to be more of the serious ABC family drama, something that could fit in with in a block next to Pretty Little Liars or Stitchers, or I'm going to name other shows that none of you guys know.
It's like, it looks like a Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it's with this one with New Warriors, it's going to be there's more comedy with it. And I look at the three actors that I can, I've seen four of them, but I cannot think of where Jeremy Tardy, actually no, five, sorry, what character he played on Dear White People. But I look at everyone with the exception of Kate Comer, because I do not remember where I've seen her or if I've seen her. Everyone else has comedic chops, so I could see them. Callum Worthy, as the young guy who's watched Disney Channel, still watches Disney Channel from time to time. I think Callum Worthy is a great casting for Speedball, for someone who's going to be more, like a little bit more slapsticky, because that was the character he played in Austin and Ally. And all that. So, and
he's got the right look for Robbie too. I mean, I look at these people and I can easily see them associated with the characters. Even Matthew Moy, who I associate with a different part already. But if you put him in the Microbe outfit from the comics, I can definitely see his face fitting into Microbe's face, and his personality, him being able to pick up on that and do stuff with it. I think this is all around spectacular casting. The guy playing Mr. Mortal, I don't know anything about him, but I look at him and he's got that straight up kind of like, I should be the leaderish, just the stock straight guy. Straight, like the comedy duo thing, like one person brings all the funny lines, the other one is the one who like deals with those lines and feeds the straight lines to the comic. And everything about it seems like it will be fun. I just want to know that the premise is going to outlast the fact that we get tired of things pretty fast, especially in comedies when they're super silly, because that's what killed Powerless. And Powerless, I thought, was a cute show and had a lot of potential, but never got to explore it.
Yeah, definitely.
And Gregor, Jeremy Tardy played Rashid Baker on Dear White People. So
doesn't help me.
No. I haven't seen it yet. I just know you mentioned it twice, so I Googled it. So
it's Dear White People is a really good show. You have to go into it realizing this is a comedy. This is a satire.
Yeah.
Where there are political stances in here. It is to open your eyes towards how how ridiculous that they're overemphasizing the stances and stuff here. But yeah, that is going to do it for the news. And real quick before we go to the next segment, a quick plug for our Patreon. And Dave sent me a message, and I'll read it for you guys. We'd love for you to become a partner with us by going to http or gncast.com/support. And then clicking on the Patreon link. When supporting us, we consider you a partner. You're a friend. You're like our hosts. Our hosts all do this. You're like Growly Bear, and I'm blinking on Brian Jensen. Sorry, Brian, for forgetting your name. Who have supported, and also I will say you're going to get bonus content. You're going to get. I have brought back the comic book show, the comic book review. Previews show that I did for Galactic Radio. and you're going to get that for $5 a month. You're getting way more value out of that alone for than the $5 is worth. I mean, because if you buy the comic books I'm recommending, that's like $30 right there for maybe 2 weeks. But you with doing this, you're going to get, extra content like my comic book show. We've got another show in the works. And you could send us messages and we will read them on the air right here on the Galactic Network Podcasts. Again, you can do this by going to GNcasts, that's casts.com/support, and then click on the Patreon link to become a partner. Thank you. And now it is time for the ElseViews. This is the portion of the show where we talk about the things that we've been watching, ingesting in different ways to experience and enjoy. And Shawn, I'm going to start with you, because I know Joey's also seen this, but tell me about Castlevania. I'm assuming you're not talking about the SNES game that I tried playing and could never beat. Never get past the first level.
Yes, actually, I am. No, I'm talking about the new Netflix series that is based on the old Super NES game. It is an anime style, which immediately is a turnoff for me. If you remember back to our conversation about Cowboy Bebop a couple weeks ago, but I surprised myself by everybody was talking about it over the weekend. So I said, fine, I'm going to invest a little bit of time, not really realizing how little time I needed to invest in this. Here's the thing. This is not a very good TV show, but it's a good movie. Watch all 4 episodes because there are only 4 episodes. They're 25 minutes a piece about. Watch them all together, and it's a lot of fun. It basically tells the story of the video game world. Dracula is married. His wife convinces him to go explore the world and live in the world of men and see what goes on. And while he's away, the Catholic Church, who are the big bad guys in this, burn his wife at the stake. And to put it bluntly, as you do, it just pisses him the hell off. And he basically gives them, as it does, he gives them a year to clear out of this area. And if they don't, he's going to unleash the forces of hell. And the main character, Trevor Belmont, recruits a couple other people. There's a magician he recruits and Dracula's son to help fight the hordes of hell that come back out and attack this town. So I made the unfortunate choice at first to watch 2 episodes and then watch 2 episodes because I didn't realize there were only 4. But I would definitely say it's worth the time to sit down, hour and a half. You can blow through the entire 4 episodes, and I think you'd be happy if you did. It didn't have all the weirdness that I usually associate with anime. So I really enjoyed watching something that told a really good story for me that I enjoy. I always like the Monster Hunter, the Van Helsing type stories. So that's what this is. And I really enjoyed it, despite it being anime.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm also not a big anime guy, but I loved the games, man, on NES, Super NES. I just like that got me interested. Just the title, just knowing that it's related to that.
And there's enough of that in there to kind of tug on the nostalgia strings,
right?
Without it being just a movie based on the video game. The story is much more robust than the video game story ever was, but it pays enough homage and follows the basic storyline and things like that to make you reminisce about the game when you watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and like I said earlier, I borrowed somebody's Netflix to watch Glow, and I plan on watching this too. I just haven't had a chance, but I am kind of bummed that it's only like a 2-hour binge. It's like 4 episodes, 30 minutes each or 25 minutes each or whatever. I was hoping that it would be like a full 10 or 12 episode season like most shows are. I don't know if this means it's just like a trial run or that's it, and it's it's 4 and then done, or in a couple months they're going to come out with more. I don't know, but I was kind of hoping for a lot more than just 4.
Well, one of the things is that Warren Ellis is the writer of this, and Warren Ellis is a British writer. He's written a lot of comics. He's done some novels and everything. He came mostly from comic books, and he did a series in 2009 of G.I. Joe to help G.I. Joe kind of resurface called G.I. Joe Resolute, which was really good. But the episodes were 5 minutes each, and there were essentially 10 episodes at 5 minutes and then one episode that was 10 minutes. He also has worked on the Marvel anime things, the Marvel anime of Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men, and Blade. I think you're right. I think it is that this was a test, but also that quick go through of like getting the whole story at once doesn't give people much opportunity to lose interest in it, which might be a great way to introduce an non-Japanese anime series about a video game from the late 80s, early 90s. So what's cool is that the show's already been renewed. It will be getting a second season. Warren's already writing on it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But it's just I would expect it to be more of the same, like this quick pace kind of stuff, because I think that's what he's going for in these stories.
Well, and also I will add that this is executive produced by Adi Shankar, who, for those of you guys who do not know, he did he's known for his bootleg universe of unauthorized pop culture satire films like The Punisher, Dirty Laundry, Venom, Truth and Journalism, and Power/Rangers. And I mean, just as another thing of why I would really want to watch this, besides the fact that it's written by Warren Ellis, who I love his comic book work, especially like his Karnak run that he wrapped up not too long ago. But this also stars Graham McTavish, who is, for those of you guys who are watching Preacher, he plays the Saint of Killers. And I mean, this whole thing looks really cool. And I got surprised like with this, like with a thing like this, with the with Bob and David show that came on Netflix, because I was like, I'm watching through, didn't see, like, because with how the layout is, you don't see all the episodes. You're just like, okay, play, and it's going through, and then I'm like, oh well, we're doing a behind the scenes episode, and this is episode 4. That's really, wait, the episode's over. Why are they recommending other shows? Shouldn't they be recommending? Oh, okay. So, I've been bitten by that too, but I do like that idea, and it also makes me wonder, did they write this as a movie, and then they're like, some natural breaks here, so let's just split it up into episodes.
Yeah. And there's a lot more story to be told. I mean, you watch these 4 episodes and it's not concluded in any way, shape, or form. So I'm glad that they've already said season 2. And I had a similar moment today. I watched the last 2 episodes this morning, and all of a sudden it stopped and the Netflix logo is on the Chromecast and on the TV. And it's like, why the hell did it stop? And I go and look, it's like, oh, well, it's only 4 episodes. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable. And the other thing that I wanted to mention too about it is Richard Armitage does the voice of Trevor Belmont. Most people, I think, would probably know him as Thorin Oakenshield from the Hobbit movies. And he does an excellent job voicing the main character. It was very riveting. It was hard to take your eyes off that main character when he was on the screen doing his thing. And I think a large part of that had to do with the voice acting. So
I definitely plan on watching that this week. And Gregor mentioned Preacher. I haven't seen that either, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. Yeah, I am. I don't know how to say this. I'm acquiring it as we speak. Put it that way.
Yeah, I will. Okay, I will.
But I have not. I've heard so many good things about Preacher. I haven't seen any of it yet, but I will have all of it in like 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Yeah, I've seen the first 2 episodes of season 2. I've seen all of season 1, but I will also point out because Shawn pointed this out. Richard Armitage, and this is a reunion for Richard Armitage and Graham McTavish, because where Richard played Thorin Oakenshield, Graham McTavish played Dwalin in Lord of the Rings or in the Hobbit movies. And I'm like, okay, clicking through all the other names, like anyone else here in the Hobbit? So like it's a reunion for all these people. But yeah, no, it looks like great film casting, like just people that I hadn't recognized from from here. Like you'd probably recognize what's his name, Tony Amendola there, Shawn, as because he was on X-Files as the cigarette smoking pontiff in 2000. Yep, cigarette in Hollywood, episode of Hollywood 80. Sorry,
yep.
Wikipedia searches here, folks.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. Like he's done Seinfeld. He did the X-Files. He did Angel, Star Trek, Voyager. Tony Amendola is one of those guys that you see him and it's like, oh, yeah, I know who that is.
Also, I mean, we also have Max Headroom in here. So, I mean, like we've got Matthew Frewer in here, which I did not know was in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. But yeah, so I mean, this honestly looks really good. I'm probably also going to check it out, and I will probably do the binge thing there as well. So Corey, do you have something you want to share with us, or
Nope.
Okay, cool. No problem. We'll go to mine. Mine, I went to the movies by myself on Thursday. But I was joined by a whole bunch of other people that I did not know, and we watched Spider-Man Homecoming. Before I talk about the movie, I want to talk about a couple of the trailers that I saw. Because I saw 2 that stand out to me right now. What is it? Lucky Logan looks really good. Did not realize that was Daniel Craig playing the prisoner who they escape. They help break out of prison until they said Daniel Craig. I'm like, what? Okay. And then the other one was the trailer for Jumanji.
Yes.
I now truly understand why they did the casting and the outfits this way for the actors.
Yeah.
Because it's a video game and they're the characters from the real world in the bodies of these actors in the video game.
Yeah.
And it gets played to hilarious effect. Jack Black is his alter ego in the real world, is the like the, oh my gosh, like blonde haired girl, and so it plays hilarious.
The thing that struck me with that trailer is that I thought when I first saw this trailer today, I thought, shit, they're remaking The Breakfast Club. You had the princess, you had the jock, you had the nerd. They were all going to detention, and I'm like, why the hell are they remaking The Breakfast Club?
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. So, but then when they get into the Jumanji world, they inhabit the bodies of The Rock and Kevin Hart and
Karen Gillan and
Jack Black. And and the stuff from Kevin Hart, when he's outside the game, he's like this 6 foot tall jock, and there's a line in there in the trailer about I'm missing the top 2 feet of my body, and it's just so the comedy is dead on. And when I first heard they were doing this, I thought, no way, I am not interested at all. Immediately when this trailer was over, I turned to my daughter and said, oh yeah, we're seeing this.
Yeah.
So
But no, and I don't remember what the other trailers were. I think they played Dunkirk again because, good God, the movie theater I have that I go to see the movies from, or go see the movies, fucking loves Dunkirk. Because I swear, for every movie I have seen, they've played the trailer for Dunkirk. And it's the same trailer. It's not even like other trailers. It's the same trailer. But no, so the movie, this is the 5th Spider-Man movie to come out since the year 2000. This is the third Spider-Man to play the role of Peter Parker. And I'm going to say something that is going to back up everything I said when we were talking about casting for... Is it the 6th?
It's the 6th Spider-Man movie. I don't know if the first one came out before 2000, but...
Yeah, because Toby had 3, and then Andrew Garfield had 2, and then this one.
We all like
to
forget that there was a third Tobey Maguire movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I here's the thing. I had all those in my head, but for some reason I couldn't do math.
Well, math is hard.
Yeah. But so this is the 6th Spider-Man movie. Sorry, I misspoke. And this is a great Miles Morales Spider-Man story. I'm gonna start that right off the front. Because one, there's no, and I'm for people who are like, oh, we're going to get origin fatigue. Nope, there's no Uncle Ben. There's no radioactive spider.
They ate rice in the movie. You know it's true.
Did you see the photo too on Reddit?
No.
I was gonna say maybe that's the reference to the rice pudding in the restaurant there.
But I mean, this takes place partially during Civil War for the intro part to it, and then it takes place afterwards. But I said this Friday at work, I said this Sunday at church, I said this Monday or today at work again with the guy after he saw the movie, and this is the best Spider-Man movie that has come out. This immediately, like, my list before was Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. Now you could just move all those down one, put up Homecoming at the top. And I think it's because, like, I really did love this story that they told. I loved where I did have some little nitpicky, but gets more spoilery qualms in the latter half of the movie. It still seemed, really good, and a great way to do a movie that has more than one villain from the Spider-Man universe. Shawn, what did you think of the movie? Because I know you saw it today.
I did, and I enjoyed it. I thought the biggest plus to this movie was the humor. They nailed the Peter Parker one-liner. One part, he's racing through this suburban town to try and catch the villains, and he goes through a backyard where they're playing on a big screen TV Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's the scene where he's trying to get home at the end of the movie, and he just kind of looks at them and goes, "Great movie," and keeps going. And it's all those little quick quips that were quintessential Peter Parker moments that I thought were fantastic. So the humor in this movie was great. The action scenes were fantastic. I don't think it's replaced Wonder Woman as my favorite movie so far this year. It's like a 1 and a 1A kind of situation. But I would still give the tip of the hat to Wonder Woman because I thought the action sequences in Wonder Woman were so much more. Plus the visuals of Wonder Woman were just amazing. But I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. My kids and I went and saw it today in 3D, and we had a blast.
How was the 3D? How was the 3D? Because I haven't, like, my theater I think has given up on it.
Yeah, it was okay. There was a lot more things in the beginning of the movie that seemed to work with the 3D. Like the second half of the movie, I kind of forgot I was watching it in 3D. Yeah. The ferry scene in 3D was pretty freaking awesome, but beyond that, it really, I don't think it added a whole lot to the movie.
No, what a great place to be. What a great time we're in. That, I mean, this year we've got Wonder Woman, which is amazing and is getting a huge amount of success. We have a Sony Spider-Man movie with Marvel, but still it's Sony's first raved about movie in quite a while. We've had Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and everybody seems to universally be looking forward to Thor Ragnarok coming up. To have all of these great superhero movies all being giant successes, all being loved pretty much universally by fans, and no Fox X-Men movie to fuck it up. I think that that's just terrific. This is the year of the superhero for me.
Yeah, I mean, just from TV and movies, the storytelling is just light years away from what it was 20 years ago when we were consuming things like this. I mean, I was joking around with the kids and said, I thought Michael Keaton was a better Batman in this movie than he was in Batman. And it's just so much more rich storytelling going on right now that I completely agree. It's a golden age for what us nerds are looking for out of our superhero movies and TV shows.
So let me ask you this, because I feel like Michael Keaton's Vulture is not a villain in here. The way he's played him, he's not really played as a villain until the third act. Do you think, would you agree with that?
I would.
Yeah.
He's the villain that's doing bad things, but for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And then he even has a little bit of a redemption moment at the end. So I mean, I would definitely agree with you as far as villains go. He's certainly not the most evil villain around, but it was a good part.
And the best villains are the ones that you can relate to or the ones you can cheer for. That's the thing, is Marvel hasn't had a lot of success with their villains other than Loki, because you haven't been able to relate to them. You haven't been able to empathize with them. Most of them have been very one note. They've been copies of the heroes that they fought. So you don't root at all for Yellow Jacket. You don't root at all for Ironmonger or Whiplash. But when you have a villain that you can identify with and you can find some common ground with, they've played it out again. Fuck you, Bryan Singer in the X-Men movies. But Magneto started out that way, and that's what made Magneto a very great villain. It's been hard for them to nail that. But with Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, that's kind of where you need to have success, because he's got one of the best rogue galleries in all of comics. It's him, it's Batman, it's Flash. So you want to use these things correctly. And I think that what we saw if you go back to the Sam Raimi movies, you saw that to a pretty good degree in Green Goblin, even in the Power Ranger outfit that he wore. You definitely saw it in Alfred Molina's version of Doc Ock in the second Spider-Man movie, which, at least up until now, has been my favorite of the Spider-Man movies overall. But I think that they lost it in things like Jamie Foxx with his Electro, because they just played the character so silly and over the top, it made it hard to relate to him. And it cut down the rest of the film in that way. And when they overdevelop and put too many villains in, then you can't relate to any of them because they don't get enough screen time. They don't develop enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Corey, I forgot to ask. Sorry, Corey, I forgot to ask. Did you see Spider-Man Homecoming?
No.
Okay, I was like, wait, he's getting really like he knows what he's talking, like he's seen the movie.
I learned a lot from my wife about faking it, and so.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
I'm just trying to spare your feelings.
Wow.
Every movie review he's ever done on here, he's faked. So
that's true.
Been faking your reviews
but no,
this whole time.
Here's the thing, and I don't think it's spoilery to say this, but Michael Keaton's character gets screwed hard by the government in the beginning of the movie, and his motive for what he's doing is to be able to provide for his family. So I could definitely relate to people like that. So I think, Corey, you hit it right on the head with that. It's a good character because you can relate to him, even though he's the villain. His evil is just not evil.
If you watch a movie like Falling Down with Michael Douglas, it's the idea that we're all this close to going over the edge because we've had just the worst day possible, or everything's just piled on us for so long, and at what point do we snap? And I think that is a very relatable thing that you can play with a villain who is just a villain because they're inherently evil or because they're inherently fucked up. Yeah, you've got the Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker is definitely that and works incredibly effectively at that, but it can't be everything. And that's why it doesn't work for a character like Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor isn't necessarily someone that I'm supposed to relate to, but I am supposed to enjoy the interpretation of. I am supposed to enjoy the over the top, like this guy knows way more than everybody else in the room kind of thing, and this guy has so much power and all he craves is more power, and anybody who threatens to usurp that power is someone that's in his way and he's going to take him out. I didn't get that from Batman v Superman, but I certainly would have expected that that's how the character should be played in films, and how even in the ridiculousness of the Gene Hackman versions, how he's been played before.
Yeah. So the other thing that I don't really like, it's in the credits, because it's also why I said this is a great Miles Morales movie. They do the like Marvel's done for a few of the past, I think since Civil War, they've done the thanks, and they credit the different comic creators. I would have expected to see Dan Slott or some of the others if they were going to do more modern comic book writers. They gave special thanks, and I'm not taking away from what they're doing, but they gave thanks to Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Pichelli.
Mm-hmm.
Two people who do not write Peter Parker. They write and draw Miles Morales.
One, you're wrong, because Bendis does write Peter Parker, or was writing Spider-Man up until recently.
Yeah.
And almost everything of the Marvel Universe has been more based around the Ultimate Universe versions of characters than the mainstream 616 Marvel Universe. And so even if you go with that, Bendis wrote the Peter Parker version of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, launched the Ultimate Universe essentially from the very beginning. Sarah Pichelli is a little bit more specific to Miles. Yeah,
because that's where I'm getting at, because it's like I would have expected to see, like if they're going to do from modern stories, like from the modern stuff, because they did pull out some stuff, but a lot of it was Miles stories. Like the actor who plays Ned is very much like Genki from the Ultimate Spider-Man book, which is not a bad thing, just it wasn't exactly what I was expecting when you're talking about Peter Parker in a world where on down the road you would think we would eventually get Miles Morales, and he would have his best friend who loves Legos and would drop a Star Wars or would know the exact number of Legos in the Star Wars Death Star set, and would say, I'm going to build the framework, and then we're going to come over to your house and we'll do the finishing touches and stuff like that. But no, they gave a lot of credits. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and do not leave before the final stinger for this movie.
No,
I think it's the funniest one they've done so far.
Yes, it's so great. I will say this. I will say this. It's completely meta. It is better than Deadpool stings. Yeah. Than the Deadpool stings that they did for the Deadpool movie.
I agree.
But yeah, definitely go out and see it in the movie theaters. I'm with how you're talking about it. If I could talk friends into going and seeing it again, I'd be like, hey, let's go see it in 3D. Pay the extra $2. Especially when some of the things are like, it looks like we're getting a little bit lighter weeks when it comes to movies. Coming up here, we got a couple little breaks where I'm like, all right, I can squeeze in a rewatch or finally watch Baby Driver since they didn't want to watch it and all that. But yeah, Joey, do you got anything you want to talk about that you've seen over the past, well, you can do however long you want since you haven't been on before. But.
Glow I've seen, and I really want to. I'm still thinking about Castlevania. I planned on watching it yesterday, and I was in Pennsylvania for a wrestling show this weekend. I got home later than I wanted, just didn't have time. But the latest new thing I've seen is Glow, which I saw when it came out, I guess last Friday, the week before, or the 2 weeks before. I think it was 23rd. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks.
So how? Because we've mentioned this before, like in the pre-show and stuff, but it's interesting because I don't know exactly where Corey and Shawn are at, but I would definitely, in the wrestling terms, I would say I'm a mark. I mean, you know, I've listened to the Edge and Christian's podcast. I've been watching wrestling since, you know, and WWE in specific since I was 7 or 8 and all that. Actually got in when they had, and I don't know if they do or not, but when they had the local promotion, I was watching that on the network TV and stuff like that, which eventually then led to, you know, wrestlers. I'm like, I knew them. They used to wrestle in Jackson and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so it's like, it's interesting for me watching Glow, because I'm like, I watched it and I would notice the wrestlers, you know, like Awesome Kong and Alex Riley, Joey Ryan, and then I didn't even recognize Carlito in there.
And Brodus Clay.
Yeah, and I noticed Brodus Clay, but I'm like,
Carlito's hair was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that it was so awful and bad that it was made.
Yeah, and then Kazarian and Daniels and Christopher Daniels in there,
right.
And all that.
They were in they worked each other, or they wrestled each other, I believe.
Yeah, they wrestled each other, and then it set up for the Joey Ryan, Alex Shelley match, which then led to the Alex Riley and the blonde-haired actress wrestling match in the back of the locker room,
right?
But Joey, how do you, what is your take from this, since you are a professional wrestler? I mean, that's where I was getting at with this.
I thought it was good. It's not, a lot of people that I know that are not wrestling fans didn't want to watch it because of that. And I would just say it's not a wrestling show. It's a sitcom drama. It's a dramedy that happens to include wrestling in it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more than just wrestling, and there's not even a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of training. But there's not even a lot of wrestling, and you know, it's very I don't know, it's just fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. Like it and another thing is, a lot of people of course related to the original Glow, which was a wrestling promotion. This is a television show. It's two completely different things. I mean, this, you know, in current modern day, it may not be, because, you know, Raw and SmackDown are so much more entertainment and Hollywood than they were before everything became sports entertainment. But, you know, it's back then it was just a wrestling promotion. Now it's now Glow is a television show. It's almost like it pays enough homage to the original, where it's still respectful, and it's not doesn't make a mockery of it, doesn't make a joke of it. Like it's man, I don't even know what it gives away some stuff, which,
yeah,
I mean, the internet's giving away everything, so what the hell is the difference now?
Yeah, but, I mean, honestly though, WWE has been giving away stuff since they started the reality competition show Tough Enough.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people that weren't happy about that show.
Yeah,
just because of the fact of that. Hey, let's give away our magician's secrets.
Yeah,
you know, on national television now. Everyone knows what to do, or everyone thinks they know what to do. But yeah, but Glow definitely paid homage to that, and in a very respectful way. And it wasn't, and the fact that they had Awesome Kong there and someone who was an actual wrestler. You know, the guys we mentioned earlier, plus Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero trained everyone for that show. They once, anyone that wasn't Awesome Kong and Alex Riley and, you know, Daniels and Kazarian, he trained them.
I just remembered another one. John Morrison was there too.
Yep,
or Johnny Mundo.
So Johnny Mundo, yeah. I forgot about that.
I did too. And the funny thing is, I've only seen the first 5 episodes,
right,
because I've gotten distracted with other things.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is cool, and I love the Easter egg that they gave, because I was like, wait, I think Chavo was in here too. And actually, one of the things that you can't see, but this wall right here is my wrestling wall. Like, I've got, you know, the foam $10 titles. I've got pictures, 2 art pictures I've drawn of one. It was like a cutout, like the poster board cutout thing of Eddie Guerrero,
wow,
because when I was in high school, it was when he passed away.
Right.
And another one I did of Eddie Guerrero with Rey Mysterio, and then I drew in the WrestleMania 23 logo
Right.
from when he won, and then AJ Styles back when he was in TNA. So it's like, I am a mark. I mean, let's not get that wrong. But like, I love the little Easter egg that they gave with the gym that they were training in was Chavo's gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all that. But
I didn't know about that until after I had rewatched it.
yeah,
And I spoke to Awesome Kong about that. Actually, I didn't know that. Yeah, but that's like a little interesting thing there. And actually, another kind of little homage that they gave was the first time that Carlito was shown. He was carrying an apple, and he wasn't playing the Carlito character, but he was carrying an apple.
it was brilliant. I totally missed that.
Oh man! Well, you've already seen him though, right? Where you're up to, he's already appeared, or no?
Yeah, I've seen it because I saw the first time.
Yeah, so it's right when she goes to the house, and she's like, these are my brothers, they're whoever, and this is my father, the giant, big, scary dude. And yeah, Carlito comes out from like the side of the house or the side of the porch or whatever, and he comes up and says hello or something.
I think that was the second time, because the first time I thought was
the first time when they went to the
gym.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the first time that they showed the house.
Yeah.
And Carlito came walking from the side like, hey, what's up or something, or how you doing or whatever, and he had an apple in his hand. I'm like, that's brilliant right there. It's perfect, man. It was so funny. Like it was so subtle where like only like really hardcore fans would even realize who he was would probably pick up on it. But yeah, I saw it right away. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I enjoyed most about that, is that the show works on so many levels. You mentioned that it's wrestling, but it's not about wrestling per se.
Right.
It just involves wrestling, and I kind of equate it to The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is not about zombies. The Walking Dead is a soap opera about the relationships between people that happen to exist in this world with zombies. Yep. And it's the same thing with this. This is a comedy about the relationship between these women, between Mark Maron's character, and it just happens to involve wrestling. And all the little, I was a huge wrestling fan in the 80s up until 92 or whatever. So I remember Glow when it first aired and watched it every weekend. Teenage boy, sue me. But it was fun. And I recognized, the analog of, Mount Fiji and Machu Picchu are the same type of character,
Right.
But then you guys who watched wrestling, and were involved in wrestling later too, were picking up on things like, I don't know who Carlito is. That was probably after my time, or just in a different.
Well, do you recognize the name Carlos Colon from Puerto Rico?
Now that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, he was still. Well, I think he passed away. I'm not even sure, but he was a legendary promoter in Puerto Rico for many at least probably 3-4 decades. So Carlito was his son.
Yeah,
okay.
and he Carlito came in about the same time, like made it his big WWE run about the same time John Cena did, because his whole thing was. Yeah, his whole thing was, with an apple, he would just chew it. And I think the reason why I didn't recognize him was because he looks bigger than he did then.
Yeah.
But he would always chew an apple and he'd be like, I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. And then he'd spit the apple at the person and all that.
Yeah, I was more WWF. Ultimate Warrior, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah,
so
Carlos Colon was never a WWF guy, but yeah, there was that was the relation between them, just to kind of see if you knew who that was.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing, I think, is wrestling fans of different generations are going to pick up on certain things in this show, and people who've never watched wrestling could still get a lot of enjoyment out of it, because, as you said, it's not really about wrestling. Wrestling just happens to be the vehicle.
And Mark Maron is brilliant on that show.
Yeah.
He was tremendous on that show. My favorite line, I don't want to say it because
I
go for it.
Gregor didn't get to
you're
it
talking
yet.
about
Go for it.
You're talking about
the
conversation with the jazz singers.
No, wait.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I don't think I remember that.
When he finds out that the movie that he's been working so hard for has already been made.
Oh, I love that. I think he's sitting on the bed or something. He's like, shit, really?
Yeah.
I was talking about the one at the end where he finds out about the relationship with him and that girl.
Oh yeah.
And I said this at dinner. That show came out on Friday, the 23rd of June. My fiance and I left Sunday, the 25th of June for vacation. We did the first 2 days of our week vacation in California. So that Sunday, her and I had dinner with Awesome Kong and her fiance. Kong and I are very close friends, and the four of us as couples are close friends. So anytime we're in the same area, we always hang out. I've known Kong for probably 12, 13 years now. And so we hung out that night, and we were sitting at the table, and this is going to be a spoiler. I guess
it's been out a few weeks. You're good.
Yeah, I guess it'll spoil a little bit of the storyline, but it's not something that will deter you from watching. But we were sitting at the dinner table, and I just blurted out, like, if I knew you were my daughter, I wouldn't have tried to fuck you. And with that, Kong's fiance stands up and goes, "I just said that this morning. That's my favorite line of the whole show." I'm like, "Me too." That was the funniest thing. Yeah. And now, another quick spoiler alert, but this is only a spoiler if you know the guy. But her fiance actually appears twice in the very last episode. There's a live wrestling show, and they cut to the crowd a couple times. So somewhat heavy set white guy sitting in the front row, short blonde hair. That's him. He's a great dude.
Cool.
No, yeah, because I will say, as a wrestling fan, from I've watched TNA before it became Impact Wrestling, before it went over to
when it was the weekly pay-per-views for $10.
Yeah, I started when it was on Fox Sports, and then when were on Spike.
Yep.
Before the whole broken Matt Hardy broken, I say as you're wearing a delete shirt. And then I watched the first season ish of Lucha Underground.
I've only seen a couple of episodes. I don't get the network that it's on. Yeah, and I just never really looked into searching for it further.
It's heavy story. It's very heavy on the story.
I know a couple of guys on that show, so I feel like I should watch it,
But I mentioned this because Awesome Kong was I think more popular in TNA than she was in WWE.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but both promotions, I felt like, with seeing this, missed out on a great entertainer.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, her character in both promotions was big woman. She's going to face these smaller women and just have either squash matches, or she's going to, she's eventually, it's going to be these big, long, epic matches. And then the small little girl's eventually going to beat her and stuff like that. This, I'm like, you guys could have done so many good characters with her.
Yeah.
So many, just as opposed to her, like, oh, I'm big and bad. Sort of similar for people who are watching now to what they've got with Nia Jax.
Yeah.
In WWE right now. And I'm like,
she was her sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Acting kind of runs in Awesome Kong's family. Her mother was an actress. So it's something that she wanted to do for a while, and I'm like super pumped. I mean, just straight acting, not wrestling acting.
No, yeah,
that means. But so I'm super pumped she got to do it, just being a friend of hers. I think it's really cool. But I absolutely agree with you that had they seen this before either company hired her, they would have seen that she's not just a huge monster killer. She actually has a lot of depth to her character itself. And there's a lot more that could have been done in like you said, in both companies.
Yeah. And I even look at that with, some of the other characters, some of the other wrestlers who were in there, just in bit parts. Like,
by the way, I love the name of the Welfare Queen. Shawn mentioned earlier that Machu Picchu was kind of like an homage to Mount Fiji from the original Glow. I think loosely, Welfare Queen was maybe based on Big Black Mama.
Yeah,
I agree. 4 million years ago, maybe just because she was large and black and female. I mean, that could be as far as it goes. I don't know, but I saw her and I thought of like, wow, man, like they couldn't get away with a name like that today.
Yeah,
Well, and that's the thing. I think back then that character was more of the, like, she was kind of the mother to the bad girls.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's kind of the same thing that the welfare queen in the Glow show kind of portrays. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when I reviewed Glow, that there's a Glow documentary also on Netflix that is
really good. From what I haven't seen it, I don't think, but from what I've heard, it's really good.
It's beautiful and very touching and super well done and respectful of these ladies and what they were doing. And you watch that documentary and you see the correlation between the actual Glow wrestling of the late 80s, early 90s and what they're doing on this show. You get to pick out a lot more of those points. And so I always say, if you're going to watch the show, watch the documentary when you're done. It's really enjoyable and even more so. Gregor, am I okay to take it away from Glow and kind of go into the ElseWords segment here? Or are we?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I had a couple questions for Joey that don't relate to Glow, but do relate to wrestling. You had stated earlier, retired wrestler, but then you just said you were doing a show in Pennsylvania somewhere. What are you currently doing in the wrestling world?
Well, I'm no longer doing in-ring wrestling. I'm injuries couldn't do it anymore. So now I'm doing a GM character in Pennsylvania. And then when I'm not doing that, I do either commentary or I used to do a couple of wrestling podcasts as well. So I do a lot of booking / writing for the same company in Pennsylvania that I do the GM thing for. I'm part of a team of 5 guys that run that company. It's called Grand Slam Wrestling. Facebook.com/Grand Slam Wrestling PA. And I'm part of a team of 5 that runs that company. So we get together almost every day. We have a whole long group chat thing going. And so other than the on-camera stuff that I do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff as well.
Cool.
So they are one of the very few companies that kept me around after I got hurt and was told I couldn't do this anymore. A lot of companies that I worked for were like, "Oh, you can't wrestle anymore? Well, we don't need anything else. So, see you later," which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But they kept me around. NWA kept me around. A couple other places, Ace Wrestling in New Jersey. So I still get to be involved. I mean, not necessarily the way that I signed up for in the first place, but the bright side is I got to live my childhood dream for 15 years. So I still get to be involved and still get to kind of love what I do in the weekend. So it's great to still be a part of it at least.
Yeah, cool. And I'm looking, you guys are right up near where I am. You're in Old Forge, and I saw Nanacoke, and so you guys are right up around the Scranton area.
Yeah, we actually just opened our own arena in January in Old Forge. So we now have our own building. We're in the same building every month. Excellent. We actually, there's what's it called? Excite Wrestling is in Binghamton. They they are another one that kept me around. I haven't been able to get there. They run a lot of their shows on Fridays, which is tough for me because I have a day job now. So, and they're a 3-hour drive, so it's tough to get up there on time. There's very rarely that they do Saturday shows, but that's another company that I have loved working for the last, since 2011, I think 10 or 11, and they kept me on board when I couldn't wrestle anymore and just had me doing other things when I can make it there. So super grateful for that. But yeah, you mentioned Binghamton earlier. Excite Wrestling is probably the best company, not probably, it is the best company in that area.
Excellent. And as far as, professional wrestling goes, right now, who do you enjoy watching it, and who probably are like, I'll give you 2 or 3, because I'm sure if I ask you for one, that would be really hard, but like your favorite 2 or 3 wrestlers of all time to watch?
Oh God, of all time, I had to say probably Flair, Hogan, Macho Man, Demolition, the tag team. As for right now, Kevin Owens is probably my number 1 guy right now, because we have very similar body style, as in like big belly, no muscle really. So, he's a guy that broke the mold, I guess is the best way to put it. Right?
yeah.
I mean, like, so you have Batista, and you have like Triple H, and Ryback, and guys like this that are just one gigantic bicep, and then they're just giant abs with legs. And then Kevin Owens comes in, who looks like he just came from, an all-you-can-eat spaghetti buffet. And in fact, the funny thing is, the Kevin Owens Blu-ray or DVD just came out last week, July 4th. And there's a part where they're showing like he takes his kids backstage to meet everybody and blah, blah, blah. And there's guys there, and they show like an angled shot from catering. And there's a whole bunch of guys like that have like water bottles and grilled chicken and like vegetables. And then he just has this big bottle of Pepsi that he's just downing, and it's not diet, it's not like caffeine free, it's just regular. It's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
But he kind of he kind of I guess lets it be known just physically that you don't need to be in the gym 800 hours a day, and not necessarily you don't need to have a 12-pack abs or 8-pack abs to kind of do this. And I tried to get that point across for years because I was basically I don't know if I was too lazy to work out, or I mean, I did cardio and stuff like that, but I was not a weights guy. Like, I'll hit a treadmill for 20 to 30 minutes. When I lived at my parents' house, in fact, they still have a treadmill. I'll hit a treadmill for 20, 30 minutes, or I'll take a bike ride for a while, or I'll walk a couple miles and then walk back to my house or whatever. But I was never a big like weightlifter guy. Like, it just didn't. I was happy being slim. Like, I used to say this when guys would ask me about it. I don't need to be Triple H or Batista physically. I'm okay with being Christian, who had like a very, very slight six-pack, but he wasn't jacked or ripped. He didn't look like a big steroid. So I'm okay with just being thinner and not necessarily being a giant bodybuilder guy. I'm okay with that, because guys that look like that can do a hell of a lot in the ring too. And again, I think Kevin Owens personifies that now, and it's great that they put him on top, because you see these guys that look like Batista and look like Ryback and look like Triple H, and then Kevin Owens comes out, and you're like, oh god, like that guy's a big fat dude. Like, what the hell is he gonna do? And then he just kills everyone.
Yeah,
same thing with Samoa Joe.
Right.
Samoa Joe's not the typical look either. He's I think, I don't want to say fatter because he's not fat, but he's thicker, I think, than Kevin Owens almost.
Yeah.
But he's still
I
in
think
proportion. Everything looks like he looks fine.
Yeah, and I think Samoa Joe wouldn't have came in if they hadn't seen the success that Kevin Owens had done with NXT.
Yep.
And all that, because he talked about on Edge and Christian's podcast before Great Balls of Fire, that they came up to him earlier, because he wrestled with John Cena before John Cena was big,
right,
and all that. And they said, oh, well, he worked with WWE's developmental territory out west in California. And they said,
oh, yeah,
you're not the right body. He's like, and they go, I forget who it was. I think it was like probably Jerry Briscoe or something. Said, you're not the right body style for what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, he went on to, Ring of Honor and TNA and, all these other, Japan. And just destroyed there. It was basically sort of like, fuck you, WWE. I'm going to do it myself. And then, oh, you want to come back? Okay, cool.
Now we'll take you. And a very little interesting trivia note about that quote that you just said. The first time that Awesome Kong showed up in WWE was on Tough Enough season 1 or 2, I think. I think it was 1. And Jim Ross told her, "You're too big and fat. You'll never be a female wrestler." Literally said, "You're too fat. You'll never be a female wrestler." And she's like, I took that as motivation, and I went and killed everyone in Japan. Then I killed everyone in TNA, and then WWE wanted me.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, she was trained in Japan, for Christ's sake. You don't go to Japan regardless of your shape or conditioning and then leave and not know anything. I mean, not be a killer. That's what that's what they teach you out there. I mean, out there it's so much more respected as a sport. I mean, wrestling is reported in their newspapers just like football and baseball. It's like here, I mean, I only know of one newspaper that reports wrestling, and it's done as a satire almost. It's not even done with respect.
Yeah. I will also answer Sean's question since I'm a wrestling fan as well. The wrestlers I look towards are the guys. It's like Joey said, the guys who aren't the typical bodybuilder type. You know, it's because it's like, you know, like Kevin Owens, to suck up to him even more, because dude is a great heel. I will give you, or bad guy for the non-wrestling fans out there. He puts on amazing matches. Like, I think the past 3 WrestleManias he's been in, they have been ladder matches, and he's been the star of the show in there, just because it's like you're watching a big guy, you know, jump off of a ladder, use this ladder as a weapon, and do all these things, and you're like, and then get up before the athletic, you know, the muscular guy, and stuff like that. The other ones like that I really like are, you know, wrestlers like Shinsuke Nakamura, who, you know, tall dude, like I think he's what, like 6 foot something.
Yeah, like, 161, I think, something like that. 6 foot. Maybe.
But the way he wrestled in NXT and a little bit in WWE, he wrestles like he's 5'5". Yeah, like with a lot of the.
He works like a cruiserweight.
Yeah, and I'm just like, how like the you know, growing up when I was a kid, you know, a lot of my favorite wrestlers were, you know, wrestlers like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Chris Benoit, because they weren't the big massive Triple H, Hulk Hogan, you know, type wrestler. They were this other, you know, they were like, it's almost like you could do it, you know, even more than Hulk Hogan, you know, say your vitamin, or say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and all that. But
that's almost the message that Kevin Owens puts out when he comes out on Raw. Is like, you know what? If I could do this, you know, if this is your dream, but you don't look like Triple H, or you don't look like Scott Steiner, there's another one. You know, you can still do this. I'm doing it. You can still do it.
My neck of the woods.
There used to be a guy named Trevor Murdoch a while ago on Raw, not even a couple years, maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And he was he used to tag team with Lance Cade, who's now passed away. And Trevor Murdoch would work with no shirt, would wrestle with no shirt on, and he had a big old belly, man. He was not a thin guy or a bodybuilder guy at all.
Yeah.
I always and back then, that was when everyone looked like Scott Steiner. You know, Triple H had 900 abs, and even like Edge and Christian had, like, you know, they were real tight and toned and defined, and they had abs and everything looked great. Everybody looked like that except for Trevor Murdoch, who had this big belly and was like, you know, same thing as Owens. It looked like he just came from a, you know, all-you-can-eat buffet, and while everyone else is drinking water, eating grilled chicken, and he's like, give me, you know, 7 cheeseburgers and 3 pounds of bacon. And he would just walk to the ring with this, like, gut hanging out. And I always professed back then that he was so different, that because he had a terrible body meant that he had a great body, because everyone else looked the same. And that's kind of what, like, Kevin Owens reminds me of that a lot, except he doesn't ever take his shirt off. I wish he would, because I think it would be hilarious. But but you know, that's kind of what Trevor Murdoch was. The same thing. He had an awful body. Like, if you can put him next to every other wrestler on the roster, you would pick him out and say that guy has a horrendous body. But because of that, that made him have a great body, because everyone else looked the same. It was very, very cookie cutter. And I think that now that there's not as many guys like that now, thankfully, because like you said, we've seen Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, guys like that work with that have a little bit of extra padding, to put it nicely, and it fits well and it sits on them well, and it's not you know, it's not like you're seeing like Earthquake with no shirt, where everything was just all over the place. But you know, and it's almost like I know that, like, a lot of people want, like, the role models for kids to be the bodybuilder and the healthy eater guy, and I'm going to go lift weights and go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. But, dude, if I had a kid, you know, if I had a son that wanted to get into wrestling, and he looked at me and goes, how the hell did you do it? Like, oh, look at Kevin Owens, man. That means he looks like that and he's doing it. It means you could do it, man. Like, you know what I mean? And as backwards as that may sound, like, that would be like a role model for my kid. Like, that guy looks like that, and nothing against his physique, because, like I said, we have a very similar body style here. But that just kind of shows you that, like, anybody can if you believe in it hard enough and you really want it, anybody can do it, as long as you're willing to put in the work and the time and the effort. Then, you know, there's nothing stopping you other than yourself.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the way you're kind of describing the body style.
I spent the weekend doing charity events with Hacksaw, man. What a hilarious, good dude he is.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
always
really good
seemed
dude.
like he was a good guy. So
Yeah.
Well, or the other one that we are missing here, Mick Foley. I mean,
Wow. I've been told I look like Mick Foley, and the most famous guy that ever told me I look like Mick Foley is Mick Foley. So I yeah. So I kind of put a little bit of stock in that, but yeah, actually that's another one I completely forgot about.
So who's some of these other, like these younger guys that you look up to besides Kevin Owens?
Well, let me just go back to the Mick Foley thing really quickly.
Yeah.
He gets or he used to get a lot of detractors when he was still active because of the hardcore stuff, because even people in the business like, well, he can't even do a headlock. That's why he's got to do all this crazy, jumping off the top of the cage or getting thrown off the cage and all thumbtacks and barbed wire and fire and stuff to get noticed because he can't actually wrestle. Like, you know what? As long as people are seeing you, I mean, I understand. I understand that sentiment, and I'm a big believer in professional wrestling. I'm not a big deathmatch guy. Like, you know what? Guys that want to go through light tubes and chew on thumbtacks and do barbed wire, that's cool. You guys, you do that. It's not for me. There was a time where I wanted to do that, and I did a little bit of it, and I was like, wow, that's probably not for me. And I think it has its niche, but it's a very small, specific audience. And I think that a lot of people just see Mick Foley as that deathmatch guy because he won King of the Deathmatch in '95, which is 20-something years ago now, and people still are like stuck on that, and they're like, but he didn't really do a lot and blah blah. Like, you know what? He did a lot more than people think. Like, I mean, physically in the ring, and I don't know. That just kind of came to mind when you mentioned Mick Foley.
I mean, a lot of people say, oh, he hasn't done a lot. Here, he was a tag team champion with The Rock. He was a 3-time WWF champion. I mean, he's done. I'm pretty sure he's a Triple Crown, if not a Grand Slam, champion. Within the WWF. And so I mean, it's like, he didn't do a lot except win lots of titles. Prove to Vince and all the other guys backstage that he will work his ass off, if not or as much, if not more.
That's another thing that
others.
That's another thing that people, the non-wrestling fans like to say is that titles don't really mean anything because everything's fake or scripted anyway. And like, what the title means is that company and that owner has enough faith in you to represent them. Mm-hmm. The guys with the belts are the guys that represent the company. It's not like I have 3 champions, but it's these 3 guys over here that I'm putting on posters and flyers. No, I'm putting my champions out. I'm showing their faces to the world. Those are the guys that are not running. Sorry, those are the guys that are selling the tickets. So, a lot of people think that because it's predetermined that there's really no competition, but there's a lot of competition. There's competition going on in that ring during every match, and it's not necessarily who's going to win or lose that match, but it's who's going to win or lose the crowd, or who's going to win or lose, their job because they didn't do something right or whatever. But there's a lot more going on than meets the eye.
Yeah. So who are some of the younger, newer guys that you're looking at that you like, that catch your eye as a wrestler yourself? I mean, who are some of these young guys that you're like, yeah, this guy I could see him doing something, or her being something in the future?
I'm a big Nia Jax fan. I think for the same reasons that I'm a big Kevin Owens fan. Because she doesn't look like the stick figure. Same reason I was a Kong fan when, even though, disregard the fact that her and I are friends, when she was on, any company really, whether TNA, WWE, or my local independent, I was always a fan of hers. And Nia Jax for the same reason, because they don't have that cookie cutter Barbie doll look. I like that look. I like a woman with some meat on her bones. And if I'm going to go in there or if I'm going to say I'm going to book a match, a ladies match, I don't want, 2 stick figures that look like they can't hurt anybody, other than each other. Like, I want someone that can go in there and kill people, whether it's a male or a female. Like, I want a killer, basically. Like, I think there has to be a monster in some facet, whether it's a male, female, midget, it doesn't matter. So I mean, although I haven't seen midget wrestling in quite a while, but I wish that would come back. But but yeah, I like Nia Jax for that reason, because she goes against the grain, so to speak. I'm a big Revival guy. I like the Revival.
Yeah.
Dash and Dawson, I like them a lot. Although I like I said, I haven't watched, other than the pay-per-views, I haven't really watched in a while the weekly TV. I catch NXT like once in a while, but I don't even get to see it every week. But I do like Revival.
Yeah, I mean, I know they just did something. Corey, you gotta drop out. I'll see you later. Thank you for being on, Corey.
Thank you, sir.
Corey, don'taskcomics.com. It's where you can find all the stuff he's doing. Normally he's here for the whole show, but he has to drop out. So hey, go enjoy your food there, Corey. But no, yeah. So to Dash and Dawson. God, I feel like I could talk for this forever because it's been so long since I've had someone to talk wrestling with.
They apparently did something on Raw tonight. I didn't see it. I don't know what it was, but I know they both tweeted like "Long live the Revival," and a bunch of people retweeted it. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it.
So from what, because it happened as I was getting ready.
I'm going to assume, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I'm going to assume, just knowing how the business works and how booking and writing works, that they did something with the Hardys.
Yes. The Hardys wrapped up their feud with Cesaro and Sheamus.
Right.
And which Sheamus is another one of the wrestlers that I like, but it's more because he doesn't look like this typical wrestler. Like, he has the build, but you wouldn't think pale white Irishman.
I know. He's been there for so long. He's not yet seen sun. I mean, jeez. He's I picture him as one of the guys that hides at the hotel until like an hour before the show starts, when it's already dark out. And he's like, "Oh, now I can come out."
And also, he worked in IT. Like, apparently, he did.
Oh my god, that was on. He talked about that on Ride Along. I just watched it like a half hour before we started. I said the same thing to my fiance. I'm like, he worked in IT. Yeah. He's like, I just wanted to throw some of these computers out the window. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I'm like, what? This guy worked in IT, really? Yeah,
but they finished the match with their feud with the Hardys, and the Revival came out, which I think it was Scott Dawson, who's the one that doesn't shave his head. That's Dawson, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, he just got cleared to wrestle after having his jaw.
He was broken. Yeah. God, yeah.
Yeah, and a hearing about his diet that he had to take, like, so he wouldn't lose muscle mass,
right?
From that, like, just pizza, milkshakes, and basically everything milkshakes, so just he can keep the body weight on. And I'm like,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. It's DVR'd. I haven't seen it, but just like I said, just knowing how the business works, I would assume. I know that those guys are getting. I know that those guys were getting we're supposed to get a push before that happened, and I just happened to see on Twitter both of them tweeting, and I know that the Hardys are at the top right now, and they're still kind of riding the wave from their return. So I just assumed they have to be doing something with the Hardys. But nothing else makes sense.
No, yeah, I mean, the only thing I could see would be if the Hardys had won the Iron Man match yesterday,
right?
And it was a new challenger for the titles.
I was hoping that I don't know, I still am, I guess, that the blood thing was the broken thing. Like, TNA finally said, you know what, just use it, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, although now I think it's not going to happen now that Jeff Jarrett fully took over, and him and Vince McMahon are not friends at all. I don't think he's going to say, "Oh, yeah, Vince, you can use this. Let the Hardys." So I'm like, man, it would have been, because Matt was making the facial expressions last night and using the words, and he I know he still does the delete thing, and he always says delightful, and he uses the same words a lot, and he emphasizes them a lot, so the crowd notices, and he knows. That's another guy that I met a while ago. Actually, met him in Binghamton at Excite Wrestling, and he's a really, really good dude. And he's a smart guy. Like, people think that Matt is the I hate to say this because I'm friends with this guy too, but Matt's the Marty Jannetty of the team. I hate that because Marty's such a good dude, man. I love him. But Matt is maybe business wise, maybe even smarter than Jeff is, and Jeff's another super smart guy. Yeah, so he knows what he's doing. When he says delightful really loud, he knows that he's saying it in capitals. You know what I mean? And he knows the crowd's going to pick up on it and know that that's a reference to the broken thing, even if they're not allowed to do it. He'll still drop those words every once in a while.
They're at WrestleMania. They come back. Everyone there is chanting delete, delete,
I
delete.
know, I love it.
I'm like, I heard that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I thought that did they win the thing? Like, eventually, there's so much of me that wants the whole one of two things to happen. Either WWE finally buys Global Force Wrestling, which is Global Force and all that, because I mean, you look at it, they're slowly
just to use the broken gimmick. That's it.
No. I mean, you got the film.
Oh no, I was making a joke. I'm saying they buy the whole thing and just use that and fire everything, get rid of everything else.
Yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of wrestlers in there who I could see doing good matches. They've had great wrestlers come from there to here, like TJ Perkins. Has been doing killer matches, and I want to see him do more with 205 Live. I'd honestly love to see a new champion besides Neville, but that's.
I'd like to see Beer Money back together.
Yeah,
definitely. I was such a big fan of them, and when James Storm came over to NXT for however many shows, a couple weeks or whatever, and then and then the story was that they couldn't agree on money, so he went back to TNA. Man, I gotta assume that even if you can't agree on money, that I gotta assume WWE's gonna pay more than TNA. Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I know what the NXT trainee guys get, and it's not much, but it's an opportunity. So I can't imagine that they offered him the same thing. But then when Bobby Roode showed up, I was like, man, maybe they're gonna kind of call James Storm back, but I guess not, man. I'm still kind of hoping for that. I would love to see Beer Money in the Revival.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's one match that I'd like to see.
So you haven't seen Great Balls of Fire?
Oh no, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it last night.
What did you think of the ambulance match? Like, what are your opinions on those gimmicky matches?
I like some of them. I mean, I'm not a big ambulance match guy because I want everything to look real. I want everything to be not necessarily look real, but I want everything to be believable. Yeah, like, if I'm gonna knock a guy out to the point where I have to put him in the ambulance to win, then I'm not gonna knock him out because I don't want to have to drag him all the way down the aisle. But it just seems silly. Like, it's wrestling. Why can't I just pin the guy? Why don't I put him in a stupid car and drive him away? You know, and who says, like, who determines how far out of the arena is enough to, like, where do you put the finish line? Like, all right, I put Gregor in the ambulance right here. Do I drive 10 inches or do I drive 10 feet or do I drive 20 feet and then I win? What if you get out? What if you get out while I'm driving and I don't notice and I just keep driving? Then what happens? I'm 4 hours down the road and I'm like, holy crap, he's not in the car anymore. What now? What? Do I have to come all the way back to the arena and then continue the match? Or do you automatically win by count out? I don't understand. I'm obviously being completely facetious, but there's too many, like, in some of those gimmick matches, like, too many wacky variables to, like, make it seem believable. Yeah. Like I did a kendo stick match against Justin Credible when I think it was 2005 in Whitehaven, Pennsylvania. It was September 10th, 2005. Yeah. And that's just a weapon, that's a lot. I mean, it's still a gimmick match, but it's something that's believable, know, and the deal was, like, the first person that got the kendo stick, it was a kendo stick on a pole, so the first person that got a hold of it was able to use it. I think that was the rule, which still makes no sense because we both used it and no one got disqualified. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? But it was cool. But, like, stuff like that, that's believable and makes sense. I'm not into like the ambulance thing is just like the casket match is like it's I guess it's cool for what it is, but for me, like, I'm not into the Hollywood-ish gimmick matches. Like, I don't mind a gimmick match like 2 out of 3 falls or a ladder match or tables match or TLC or whatever. Like, because that's really just using weapons which guys use anyway. But, like, I just think it's weird to have to, like, grab your opponent and throw him into throw him into the back of a car or an ambulance or a hearse or whatever, and then have to drive away with him. Like I like, if we're gonna present this as real, okay, we don't like each other. I don't want to take a car ride with you. Like I just want to leave you there and I'll take off and I'll see you later. But like, I don't know. It just, some of the stuff just seems too corny. Almost is like a word I hate to use, but sometimes it just
it works. It works because I mean, and like you look at the last dumpster match that WWE had.
Oh God, yeah, those two.
And it's like, it's sort of like both of these. There's a similarity here, and it's Braun Strowman. And it's like it doesn't seem like the ambulance match seemed more believable because it seemed like this is the finality of the feud between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns,
right?
But it's like you have this dumpster match where he's facing Kalisto, this 5'4", cruiserweight who's not on the cruiserweight show, and like I've always had a problem with Braun Strowman because it doesn't seem like he sells right. Like he just his gimmick is that his gimmick is he's the big guy who does
right.
Even when he's getting punched by Roman Reigns, I could see him not selling with a cruiserweight or a smaller guy, but when you got a guy who is your size,
right,
and they're punching you, you shouldn't be shaking it off like you're the fucking juggernaut from the X-Men. You should be reacting and then delivering more, not just.
I can see Braun Strowman coming out with that big brown helmet on. But yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of no selling in those cruiserweight matches too. Just everything's bip, 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 and really really fast movement and stuff, and just not a lot of time to like sell a move and for the crowd to kind of take it in. Like a lot of, I know that WWE teaches them like you gotta slow down a little bit and sell. But there's a lot of that on the independents too, where just like you said, there's like guy will get hit and just shake it off, even if he's a small guy. And like, man, it doesn't look believable, man. Like there's a lot of stuff that can be worked on there. Not that I'm, I was never an expert myself, but I was never the next Ric Flair. But I mean, it's easy to point out some stuff that can be worked on it, and I think. I don't. That's like I said when you were talking about Braun Strowman. Like, does he sell it all? I don't think he. I don't think he does. I mean, he walked out of the crushed ambulance with his bloody head not selling, just walking out like oh dude. Like I mean, he was selling to the point. Like, he was selling the fact that he was having trouble walking, but he didn't sell the blood on his face. He didn't sell like his arm was all bloody. Nothing. He just like kind of hobbled away and said, "Oh, I'll take care of it," and took off. Like I think that was a double turn. I think that was Reigns heel and Strowman babyface, because Reigns tried to kill somebody, literally trying to kill somebody, and Braun Strowman, the big hero, like the normal babyface story would be like the big hero. The bad guy tries to kill you, you get out, you whatever happens to you, you make your phoenix rising, so to speak, out of the ashes, and you walk out in your own power. That's a babyface. Like that's a baby face, and the guy that tried to kill you is the heel. Now, when just to kind of bring up something along the same lines that a lot of people disagreed with me about and still disagree with me, and I'm okay with that. But back when Edge and Kane were having their feud 200 years ago, whatever it was, and my whole contention was Edge was supposed to be the babyface, Kane was the heel. Mm-hmm. Kane beat up Edge as his opponent. Paul Bearer was Kane's father. Edge kidnapped the father, strapped him to a wheelchair, threw him off a cliff, a crane somewhere backstage once. Another time he locked him in a meat freezer. That's the baby face.
Yeah.
And my argument was that's the heel. He's the heel. Kane didn't do any of that. Like Kane literally would just wrestle him in matches. That's it. Like that they were booked. But like yeah.
Wasn't that sort of like at the tail end of the Attitude Era though?
No, this was like in the mid 2000s, 2007, 2008, I think.
Yeah.
Like 10 years after the Attitude Era. But I mean, still, I mean, that's a heel to me. Like, if you come to Jersey and you kidnap my dad and lock him in the meat freezer, I don't like you.
Yeah.
It seems like common sense, but he would get cheers for it. I'm like, well, he's a heel and everyone cheering for him. They're all heels.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh no, he's the baby face. Kane's the no, he's not. Sorry, but in my world, a kidnapper is not a baby face. Sorry. Yeah. But a lot of people are like, oh, you're crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, to me, it makes perfect sense. Like, it's like, so I guess what I'm trying to say is if last night was not a double turn, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. No, because it makes sense because, I mean, it seems like WWE has been needing to turn, because it's either, if it's not a double turn, then it's Roman Reigns has reached that John Cena point of it's a you love him or hate him, whatever thing.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, like that's sort of what it was before. I mean, even with the whole, him wrestling Undertaker at WrestleMania, where it was, that was, I look at that as that was Taker passing the torch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that as well, because he put, he won and I kind of got the same I took the same thing away from it. I think if last night wasn't a double turn, it would be cool if it was at least a turn for Reigns and maybe him and Strowman shake on it, like, oh my god, like you've totally gained my respect after what happened, and blah blah. I know you want to kill me, but here's a handshake or whatever. But I mean, I definitely see. I see what you mean about passing the torch thing. I saw that.
Yeah. Like, but then even when I look at that, and I don't know how you would feel about this, it sort of pisses me off that this wasn't Undertaker's first loss. This was his second.
Yeah, I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan, but I get the fact that I get the point that supposedly him and Taker are friends in real life, and it was Taker's decision to give him the win and blah blah blah. But at the same time, like when Lesnar came back shortly before that, and there was the whole like it was him he had the feud with Cena first. Rivalry. You can't say feud's on the WWE's banned word list now, so you can't say that. It's rivalry. I don't know how they come up with that list of words, but so when he first came back, the whole gimmick was he's going to legitimize WWE and make it real again or whatever. And like that's just going on TV saying everything's bullshit, but I'm real. Like it's almost saying like it's all fake. So you should watch my stuff instead. Which at the time he just came from UFC, so everyone was like, "Well, I'm gonna go watch that instead." But I don't know. I dug the streak finishing. Like I liked it a lot. Like I knew, if they were gonna do it, I always assumed it would have been somebody larger than life, like other than Undertaker himself. Other than Brock, I was thinking Cena would probably do it. Just because Cena's like the guy, like he's the champion, like all the time. Now he's not right now, I know, but he's always like the guy, and he's the guy that's the face that runs the place, like they say now. So I always thought it would be him if there was ever going to be a streak. A loss at WrestleMania, but I don't know. I thought it was cool, but at the same time, I didn't think it was cool. Like it was, I don't know. It's so hard to explain. Like I dug it and I liked it, and I loved that finish, and I loved that for the first time in however long the crowd was legitimately speechless and shocked. Yeah. One thing I don't like about it is they showed that black dude with the glasses with his mouth wide open. Yeah, that guy gets booked now. I don't understand that. He gets booked to do appearances at conventions for what? Because he was surprised at a finish? Come on, dude. That guy gets booked. Give me a break.
Well.
I am just one quick thing. I'm friends with somebody who, and I can't even remember who it is right now, but somebody I'm friends with was booked at a convention that guy was booked on, and I go, all right, be straight with me. What did he do? He goes, honestly, he just stood there and talked to people. Literally didn't do anything else. Didn't sign, like doesn't sign anything because people didn't know his name. They didn't sign autographs or anything like that. He just stood there and talked to people. Like, so he gets booked. That I could do that. Like, really?
No, that's so weird and so dumb.
Yeah.
Because by that point, there should also be the little girl from when the Miz beat John Cena who just sat there.
Oh my God, the Miz girl, she was awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But no, I think honestly, this is great, and I want to continue talking, but
it's late. Yeah,
it is late. So I think we're gonna wrap up the show. We could talk more in post show. But first off, like I said before, Patreon.com or patreon.com/galacticnetcast is where you can come join us, be a partner. The other way, the other option at gncast.com/support is our Amazon affiliate link. You go there, you buy anything you buy. Prime Day is right now.
Prime Day.
Right
Yep. I'm going to say Prime Day right now.
All that stuff. You could take money from Jeff Bezos and give it to us. Give us Jeff Bezos's money by going there and clicking the affiliate link. You can send us mail for feedback, mail at ElseNerds.com, or you can call 805-328-3966. All of our subscription links can be found over at gncast.com/subscribe. That includes the Facebook, the Twitter, I don't think we have an Instagram, but all the places that we are at. You could follow Beatmaster at Beatmaster80. Evan is at Mr_Fusion. I'm at that Gregor. Corey, don'taskcomics.com. Shawn can be found at sburnspa. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yep. And Joey, where can people find you?
The YouTube, Twitter, Instagram is all just at Joey Image. Facebook.com/real Joey Image, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Joey Image. That's probably the most important one because I got to cut into the shirts, obviously, and I have a wedding to save for, so I need the help, please. And I'm gonna hopefully start a Patreon soon within the next couple of months, so stay tuned.
Yeah. But yeah, check out all those things. I'm actually going to the ProWrestlingTees.com. Oh wow, they got a lot of different people in there.
Well, the most important one is ProWrestlingTees.com/Joey Image.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're all $20. I have 9 designs, and if you're a nerd or a geek, there's some in there for you. I got a Pokemon Go shirt. I have a GTA shirt. I have a Sopranos. Jesus, what else? Goodfellas shirt. They're all there, or Goodfellas style, I should say. Like they're all my shirts, but they're based on those designs. I don't want to say stolen up there.
Borrowed.
Yeah.
But the final thing to be said before we end this epic podcast is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you next week.
Or else.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's gncast.com.